a 4-run lead, they got to go to Duran because they don't trust anybody else. So then the next night, it's a 1-run game. You got to go to Duran. At some point, you can't go to Duran because he's not going to be available. So they don't even trust guys when you have a 4-run lead.
I mean, you saw it this weekend. Kirkring blows the 5-2 lead.
Exactly.
That's a 3-run lead in the 8th.
My point exactly.
Yeah. And, well, have you had a problem with Mattingly and how he's managed the bullpen? Where, going
I'm
to
not a big
Alvarado.
blame the manager guy, because I think a lot of this is predetermined on who's available, who's not.
Mattingly did not have a good series over the weekend.
If you want to be the blame the manager guy, I'll play along because I am in the camp that thinks that Mattingly has more say than Thompson did.
Well, because his last name is?
His boss happens to be his son.
Yeah, right.
So I think he has a little bit more say than Thompson did. For those of you who were saying how good Mattingly was and when they turned things around, I think your head was in the sand. That I don't think this had anything to do with what Mattingly changed or did. I think the team just started to play better baseball against a lighter schedule. I think what you're seeing now is that Mattingly is no better than Thompson. In fact, by some accounts, you might think that he's worse than Thompson.
Since the All-Star break, I mean, yes, you could make the argument.
So we have a situation now where this team is short on bullpen pitching big time. And I don't know how that gets fixed. There's no more trades. Can't do that there. Now, I will say this is my initial thought. What's today's date? The 10th? I would imagine, and I think it's today. Josh, can you look this up for me?
Sure.
I think that Alex McFarland can get called up either today or tomorrow because people were wondering why Alan Rangel got called up.
Does someone have to be injured, though, right? Someone has to go to the IL for that to happen, or no?
Well, the thing with McFarland was because he got called up and then sent back, I think he has to sit out 10 days before he can call him back.
Yeah, a.k.a. IL stint.
So, yeah, but you could just call him up because of performance, but you can't because he was sent down. So you have to wait 10 days. And I think that 10-day window is either up today or tomorrow.
It's actually 15 days. So
okay, is it 15?
I'm just double checking exactly what the specific day I said.
I think Jeff Kerr tweeted it out the other day because somebody said, "Why is McFarland not here?" When they brought up Rangel, and I think that Kerr. Here we go. The Phillies will likely have to make a roster move from Caleb Killian today. Would make sense to call up Alex McFarland and hope he gives the bullpen innings in middle relief. But I think before that, Kerr tweeted out.
He tweeted out earlier today in reply. He says McFarland can't get caught up. Could also be called up due to an injury if Killian goes to the IL.
That's the injury. There you go. Yeah.
Because remember, Killian was holding his side yesterday.
So the Phillies lucked out in Killian getting hurt so that they can call him up.
Is that a luck out, or did you trade for that guy thinking he was going to help you?
Yeah, I mean, Dave Dombrowski did, yeah.
And Mattingly said it didn't look good, right? That's what he said
after the game, yeah.
Now, Kerr tweeted out, the Phillies can't recall Alex McFarland until Monday, which is why he isn't here. McFarland pitched for Lehigh last night. So, in other words, here's the situation. They called up Rangel yesterday in case they needed a long man because Rangel can pitch multiple innings. I would imagine today at some point between now and by the time we get done the show, because they're in St. Louis, so there's probably a little bit of things going on. The game's later. It's 7:40 tonight, so we're not going to get lineups and news for an extra hour today. But my anticipation would be Rangel goes back and McFarland is up. Now, Killian will now go on the injured list, which means they're probably going to need another guy, right? They're going to need another guy. So you could say they'll put Killian on the injured list
and then call up
McFarland to replace him.
Yeah. Right.
Do they want to keep Rangel here? Because he's not really even a bullpen pitcher. He's a starting pitcher.
But they do need a long man, like you just mentioned. That's the one thing. I mean, Seth Johnson is Seth Johnson, but he was the long guy for this bullpen. They traded him away. Now, really, Rangel is the guy that you really need to count on.
Well, here's what I would say. I think right now, this is the Phillies. This was alumni weekend, okay? And with alumni weekend, one of the guys that we saw in alumni weekend was Brad Lidge. And another guy we saw was Ryan Madsen. How important was Madsen for Lidge?
Massive.
Yeah, I mean, even guys like Scott Air, he was on the field. J.C. Romero, he was on the field. Those guys, that bullpen for the 08 run, I mean, that was huge.
Huge. Who's Ryan Madsen on this team? They don't have one.
No, doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist. So I guess the question I have is, do the Phillies think that they can call up Alex McFarland right now and that he becomes the guy that they say, we're going to put you in the high leverage 8th inning situations? Or are they just bringing him up here to be another part of a bad bullpen? Like, if I'm the Phillies, I almost say, you know what? This kid's the best arm we got. I'm just going to put him in there and see what happens. What's the worst that happens?
Well,
maybe he turns out to be great.
Who's in the circle of trust?
Nobody.
Just Joe Anderon and maybe Big Bad John Bolin.
He ain't that bad. In the good sense. Mike, I was just going to say, wasn't the whole point of them not pitching McFarland because they were trying to maybe trade him? Well, the trade deadline's done now. Call him up, put him out there. What's the worst could happen?
Well, they couldn't call him up because he was up here and then he got sent back. So
no, but I mean when he was up here before. Remember, the whole point was they could have put him in games. And
I think they were still trying to hide him.
And they didn't want to eat into his rookie deal, right?
But the point is, they didn't pitch him when he was up here in any leverage situations because they were still trying to trade him.
That's what I just said. My point was that you didn't trade him, so call him up, put him in there now.
But if they do, now they have to.
But I'm saying they couldn't call him up because he had to wait 15 days. So now that 15 days is now up today, I would be floored if he's not up here tonight. So, yes, they should call him up. I think they will call him up. But the reason they haven't called him up is because he had to wait 15 days from when they sent him down the last time.
They probably didn't want to start his major league clock. I think that's the other caveat.
Well, he's been up twice. The one time he came up
but he hasn't
in
pitched.
Atlanta, he didn't pitch. No, he did pitch in the series.
So his major league clock has started.
Yeah,
yes.
He pitched maybe an inning, but it was a low-leverage 6th inning situation or something like that. He came in, and I don't even remember what he did. But he did pitch in one game, and then they sent him back. My point is this. I think when you call him up now, we're throwing you right into the mix, dude, because we don't have a better option.
Yeah.
That's what I think they need to do is throw him right because he's been closing games out at AAA.
Right.
So I'm going to take him and say, you're my best arm. You're my best guy I got. I'm going to put you right into the 8th inning and see if you can be the diamond in the rough, the guy that helps us out that we didn't expect.
But it was July 22nd he pitched.
Yeah, he threw like 1 inning.
Yep.
It was a low-leverage game. I think, whatever. I don't remember what he did.
The Phillies were losing the Dons at that point. He gave up no runs in 1 inning.
So there you go. I mean, that's what I think will happen today. And overall, outside of, and I said this last week here on this show, I think the only changes that you can't make trades anymore. Now, if somebody gets released or, DFA'd, whatever you want to call it, from another organization, you have until the end of the month to get them on. After September 1st, they cannot be on the playoff roster.
Correct.
Is that how it works?
Yep.
So the Phillies in 2008, they added 2 arms off of the DFA scrap heap or late waiver trades. They got Scott Air and they got J.C. Romero. They need to start looking because I saw Zach Littell got signed by Arizona yesterday because he got DFA'd by somebody.
Austin Hayes as well.
He was DFA'd by the Reds.
So the Reds DFA'd him, and then Arizona picked him up because the Phillies need some starting pitching depth. We saw Nola get hurt the other day. Now Nola says he thinks he's okay, and he's probably going to pitch the game. Interestingly enough, you know when Nola's scheduled to pitch?
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams game.
It'd be a nightmare.
Actually, it actually works out for Nola. Do you know why?
Why?
So the league put out a statement that in that particular game, there's no ABS challenges. They don't have the infrastructure to do it there.
So now he can live on the corners.
So Nola, it's a game where someone can't ABS him. And that's the thing where he struggles with when he likes to paint the corners.
Yeah.
And then someone taps on their helmet and they get, so There is no ABS challenges in the Field of Dreams game. How about that little nugget?
That's going to be weird.
Yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't have a bad umpire then.
Well, so he's scheduled to pitch on Thursday. Andrew Painter is scheduled to pitch tonight, correct? Yeah. So Painter pitches tonight. Painter, and this is another interesting because we had this conversation on Friday's show. So Painter pitches tonight.
And remember, he's returning from that hamstring tightness that he had last game.
I mean, the Phillies, I guess they played it cautious there, but they didn't have to. They didn't have to take him out of the game and tax their bullpen even more. They could have left him in there.
They could have, but guess what? They're so thin.
And they wind up losing that game. They basically punted that game.
But they're so thin at starting pitching that they can't afford to push him to pitch more.
Yeah.
So they desperately need Painter.
Their last 2 starts since being recalled, Painter has a 2.70 ERA. He's given up 3 runs in 10 innings. So I talked about this Friday. I don't see Painter making a start in a playoff game. So can the Phillies get McFarland to come up, Painter just pitch well enough that they can look at putting him in the bullpen come playoff time?
Sasaki style.
Because they will not exist in the playoffs for very long with what they currently have.
Nope.
No way. Ryan's watching the game, watching the show on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel. He says, any chance Gage Wood comes up?
Not as a starter, right? But as a reliever?
I would say it's not 0%, but yes, as a reliever. I think Gage Wood does have a chance to come up, to Ryan's point. I think the Phillies are that desperate. That, and desperation calls for, you know what? Like, in my opinion, I know what I have isn't good enough, so I'm going to go to guys that have more talent. And if they get the job done, they get the job done. If they don't, they don't. It is what it is.
And they can't just keep on relying on Sanchez and Wheeler going out there and being able to win a game. I mean, you have to be able to win games without those guys starting, right? I mean,
well, Luzardo pitched yesterday, they win. And then Wheeler pitched the other day, they lose.
Yep.
Yeah.
And by the way, Mike, to your previous question that you asked last week here on the Sports Bash, do we have any concerns about Wheeler moving forward? This is now another start where he didn't look sharp. 2 of his last 3 starts.
Hey, anytime that group of guys, Wheeler, Sanchez, and Luzardo, don't win, yes, it's a question mark. I mean, do I feel like Wheeler is like I'm worried about Wheeler? Not necessarily. No, you're not going to win every single time, but you're at the point of the year where they have to win almost every single time they pitch. Because if they lose a game, now you're in a spot where the 4th and 5th spots in the rotation are coming up, and you're probably not going to win both of those games. Right. So if you have games where your top 3 also lose, like this time, you had Wheeler lose. Now, yesterday, Luzardo pitched pretty well. I mean, I thought he was pretty good yesterday.
Yeah, and then the Kirkring came in and blew the game.
Kirkring was Kirkring yesterday. He was terrible. With 5 strike, his 5th 10 strikeout game, I should say. That's tied with Christopher Sanchez. So Luzardo pitches really well yesterday. The bullpen coughs.
Why is Kirkring pitching in the 8th inning yesterday? Why is Alvarado pitching in the 8th inning on Saturday night?
Mm-hmm. That's what I talked about.
You get burned too many times, and you keep doing it.
Well, this is what I talk about. Now, I'm not sitting here blaming Mattingly because, quite frankly, I don't know that Mattingly is the guy that who he has available. But at some point, he's got to say, I'm done with Alvarado as a high leverage guy. When they sit down and have their pregame meetings, they've got to say, I am moving Alvarado down the list of importance. You just can't trust him to throw strikes. Everybody telling me Mattingly, I'm not blaming Mattingly. I'm not blaming the manager guy. So Mattingly, I'm not saying it's his fault, but when they go together at the beginning of the game, they've got to say Alvarado is no longer a part of our high leverage guys. The problem is they don't really have anybody.
No. I mean, Brooks Raley, the newcomer, I guess you could start to trust him a little bit more. He had a good outing yesterday.
Well, he was the guy they traded for with the hopes that he would be pitching in some higher leverage situations. All right, we're live at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City.
By the way, did you see the Chase Utley plaque?
I did.
It looks terrible.
You didn't like it?
It looks like Max Scherzer he does not look like Chase Utley.
What's better, the Chase Utley plaque or the Ronaldo one?
Oh, the Utley plaque.
I don't know. The Utley plaque's pretty bad.
The Ronaldo one looks like it's like
actually
alien
design. All the Phillies Wall of Fame plaques are not very.
Now, Hall of Fame Friday night was rough because it didn't start until late.
8 o'clock, yeah.
The game didn't start till 8:45 on Friday night.
Yeah, Pat Burrow was on stage.
Good speech, though, by Utley.
Good speech by Pat the Bat. Good speech by Chase.
Alumni weekend, what did it teach us? Well, it taught us that Phillies bullpen in 08 was really good, and this one's really bad. Your guys' text messages and thoughts throughout the show, 609-403-0973. Hit us up on the White Horse RV text board here on the Sports Bash, live from Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Keeping the fans entertained and happy.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And it just keeps getting better.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
2:30, we're back. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN at the Fanatic Sportsbook, Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. We're back every Monday. You can come out and see us all football season long. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. Rough weekend for the Phils after winning 3 out of 4 against the Nationals. They lose 2 out of 3 against the Toronto Blue Jays. And as Mike McGarry writes over at PressOfAtlanticCity.com, they show playoff potential and flaws in yesterday's game. It had a little bit of everything, Mike. We saw the offense has been scoring. Now the problem has become and shifted over to the bullpen. It's been a problem all year, the bullpen. But they had, they've scored enough runs to win a lot of these games. But now you're really seeing, as we're down to the final 50-game stretch, this bullpen might not have enough gas left in the tank.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Mike. And unfortunately for the Phillies, the playoff, potential that they have for failure might be starting to overwhelm the playoff potential they have for success. I mean, this bullpen is exhausted. It's worn out. It's beat up. And to me, it's a very real question. How are they going to perform over the next 50 games? Because the playoffs are not a guarantee for the Phillies at this moment by any means.
They're one game up in the wild card currently right now. And Mike, when you take a look at this bullpen, I would imagine McFarland is up maybe today to help them out, but I don't know who you can turn to and who you can trust. I mean, right now, can't trust Alvarado. Kirkering shows that you can't really trust him. I don't know how you even get through the final 50. They got like 42 games left. I don't know how you get to the end of the line with what you got here. You almost have to take the chance to see if McFarland or maybe even somebody else can help you.
Yeah, you do, Mike. And it all goes back to, you look at the offseason, and they told you in the offseason when they went out and signed Keller from the Chicago Cubs, they told you that they didn't think they had an eighth-inning guy on the roster. By signing Keller, they're telling you that Kirkering and Alvarado, they didn't think at the time could take down the eighth inning. They looked at those guys as lower leverage relievers. Now Keller is out for the season with his arm injury, and you're left with Alvarado and Kirkering, and I guess Raley, because you didn't at the trade deadline do what I think you had to do to fix that bullpen. So yeah, they have some pretty big issues, and yesterday was an example of it. And again, the San Diego Padres are a game back, and there's no guarantee right now that the Philadelphia Phillies are going to be in the postseason for the 5th straight year. In fact, they are leaking a little transmission fluid as they head out to St. Louis, and then the Field of Dream game is on Thursday.
Yeah, St. Louis tonight. We'll get into that matchup in a second here. Mike, you tweeted it out yesterday over the weekend, I guess, when you look at this bullpen, that, you can't trust Alvarado. You can't trust Kirkering. I don't know where you turn to here, but do you think that they would look at McFarland, bring him up, and then utilize him in a high leverage situation? It seemed like they were kind of hiding him, when the deadline was around. They didn't want him to get any innings up here. He pitched that one game against the Dodgers with some good success, by the way, and he's had a ton of success. But would you be surprised if they threw him right into the fire into some high leverage spots?
I wouldn't be surprised at this point, Mike, because I think they have no other option almost. They almost have no other way to go or to turn to. Here is a guy who can throw over 100 miles per hour. I understand that, he is wild at times. His walks are a little bit high for a guy coming out of the bullpen, but he can throw triple digits. So at this point, with the way the rest of the guys are performing, and for no other reason other than the fact that you have to sort of stabilize this bullpen and allow this bullpen to sort of catch its breath. These guys have pitched an awful lot. Jonathan Bolden was not available yesterday in the 8th inning. That's why you had to turn to Kirkring in that inning. So they've got guys who have pitched 3 out of 4 days, 4 out of 5 days. You have guys whose velocity when they come in the game, Kirkring's velocity yesterday way down just because they're being used so much. And there's no coincidence that his velocity is down. Okay, now batters are getting, a bat on the ball, albeit some bloop hits. But maybe if he was more well-rested, he'd be able to miss those bats because his velocity would be up. So, yeah, this bullpen right now is in crisis, and it's almost at the point where a game like tonight, you might want to have to just sacrifice this game and tell Andrew Painter and maybe back him up with Alan Rangel and tell him to go out, tell those 2 guys to go out there. And look, you guys got to go as far as you possibly can because we've got to give our bullpen a chance to sort of just take a deep breath and give everybody a day off or 2 in a row where they can just sort of, recalibrate and reset themselves so this thing doesn't continue to slide in the wrong direction.
Well, Mike, and then, really the only guy they do trust, obviously, is Duran. And it's like when you bring in Duran in a game where you have a 4-run lead, and then the next night you have a 1-run, somewhere has to give. You can't keep using him in all these situations. But they don't even trust guys. Yesterday, they couldn't even get through a 3-run game in the 8th inning. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do to kind of manage this down the stretch here. I want to get your opinion on Bohm. He obviously had a rough weekend. You tweeted out that he can't get out of his own way right now. He comes in the game, the ball's squibbed to him. He looks to second, and he kind of underhands it over to first. He's not really a first baseman. He's not terrible over there, but, he's just not – doesn't have the instincts. You could field and make the plays in the field. It's knowing the little things, like the intricacies of the ball hit here. I don't have time to look to second because I got to get the out at first, get the second out. Now you get 2 down. Like those little things. But they moved him to the 8th spot in the order, Mike, and that kind of almost asked the question. If you're going to hit him 8th, why not just play Hill in right field and put Harper back at first base? Now you're better defensively at 2 different places.
Yeah, it is an issue. I thought the play on Saturday night was a play where Bohm was actually thinking more like a third baseman in that play than a first baseman. And obviously what you talked about is exactly right. He can handle he can make the plays over there, but certain situations, you only sort of get, sharp with that by having reps and playing that position for a long time where things become automatic, and he just doesn't have the reps over there at first base. When I look at Bohm right now, it's a tough watch when he comes up in scoring position with runners in scoring position, Mike. And I think there's so many situations where he just has to put the ball in the air or put the ball in play or hit a ground ball to the right side of the infield, and you would have a run. And what you get, swinging at the first pitch, popping out, in foul territory. It's really just hard to watch right now. He dropped to 8th in the order. Mattingly said part of that was the fact that Real Muto has been hitting the ball well, so they moved up him in the order. They dropped Bohm. Bohm has a couple of hits yesterday, but again, in clutch spots, he just does not seem to come through. Brandon Marsh, kind of the same thing. Those 2 guys are really struggling on the back end of the lineup right there. And the inability to sort of situationally hit, to get guys in by putting a ball in play when there's a runner at third with less than 2 outs is really glaring. And again, that's another reason why, they're going to, I think if they make the postseason, they're going to struggle because they don't hit in the clutch in certain situations.
Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com. Yeah, Derek Hill, it seems like he's always doing something for you, whether it be a big hit, a big play in the field. It's almost like, can I find a way to get him? Now, you don't want to overexpose him. Maybe him and De La Cruz kind of split some time out there, even if it means they're facing right-handed pitching. If you're hitting them at the bottom of the order in the 8th spot, it's what Mattingly said earlier with Marsh. I'd rather have him face lefties if it means I'm going to be better defensively. It almost feels like they might have to get to that decision, right?
Yeah, Derek Hill has been a big positive for this team. He's been, he just seems to bring an energy to the game, right? He seems to play with a joy. And I asked him the other day, I said, it almost seems like you play with an edge. And he said, I wouldn't call it an edge. He said, I would call it like an enthusiasm. He said, there's no place in the world I'd rather be than on a baseball field. He said something like, if he could snap his fingers and be one place, he'd be playing a baseball game. And he seems to really sort of appreciate being out there. And yesterday when we talked to him after the game, he seemed to be a guy who's acknowledged that, hey, his career maybe hasn't gone the way he wanted to go. You're talking about a guy who was a first-round draft choice when Dombrowski was with the Tigers and was really, he's been with 5 or 6 teams. He's been a role player at best. And right now he's probably on one of the better runs of his career. I can almost agree with you there, Mike. I mean, why not ride it? I understand it. And I'd be the first one to say you don't want to overexpose Derek Hill. You don't want to happen to Derek Hill what has kind of happened to Edmundo Sosa. But at this point in the season, why not ride it? Maybe this is the summer of Derek Hill, right? And let's all jump on board, basically.
Yeah, I know that this team has a lot of flaws. They have so many platoons, and they just haven't been able to figure it out. But Alec Boehm, I think, really struggling in the bottom half of the order. They moved him to the 8th spot. We'll see where he is. And, Mike, let's be honest. If you have a playoff team with JT Realmuto at this stage hitting 5th, how far are you going?
Yeah, you're not going very far. Again, that's why I kind of look at the overall team, Mike, and I think they're going to play it out the rest of the season, and we'll see what happens. We talked about the potential road they would face in the postseason if they got in the postseason, how tough it would be, to beat, come out of the National League and go to the World Series. I almost think that this is a team, and again, hindsight is 2020, and I didn't think like this after last season, but I was okay with them, quote unquote, running it back. But this is a team that I think when you look back on it now, with, again, hindsight being 2020, this is a team that should have been sort of remodeled, or this core should have been shaken up in the offseason going into this year. And I think you'll see that. Well, we all know the labor issues coming up, but I think the 2027 Phillies will look different than the current 2026 Phillies, because you get the sense that the end of this run that began, in September of 2022 is kind of petering out right now.
Mike, you were there this whole weekend, alumni weekend. Any interesting, fun stuff from alumni weekend? I know a lot of times this is one of the hallmark weekends for the Phillies. Chase Utley speaking on Friday night. Also, Pat Burrell delivering a good speech as well. It's always a good vibe because I look back at that team and see, because you wrote about the playoff potential. That team had the Howard, Utley, Rollins, but they had that great bullpen. And you wrote about they show their playoff potential. But it's one thing when you look at the 08 when alumni weekend was there and you see Lidge and Madsen. This Phillies team doesn't have that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but people, first of all, I can't believe it's 18 years ago for 2008 happened. I can remember covering those games. I can remember the 2-day rain delay. So it's really kind of crazy to see those guys from the 08 team. And you're exactly right. We talk about bullpens. Well, that 08 team, starting again around this time in August, they went like J.C. Romero in the 7th inning, Ryan Madsen in the 8th, and Brad Lidge in the 9th inning. And those guys pitched to just about every day from the middle of August on through the end of the season. And obviously they bring the Phillies home, a World Series title. I'll say this, Mike, I'm a sucker for that stuff. I don't know how you are. I love the Old Timers Day, Alumni Day, whatever you call it. I'm certainly not a big Yankees guy, but they had their Old Timers ceremony on Saturday, and I DVR'd it and watched it when I came home from the game on Saturday night. I just love those types of ceremonies, and I give the Phillies a lot of credit. A lot of teams don't do a great job with it, but the Phillies do a great job with as far as keeping past members of the organization involved in the organization, making them feel like they're part of a team, and putting on a sort of ceremony to sort of honor those guys with Alumni Weekend. I think the Phillies just do as good a job as anybody in baseball with that. And I thought the Chase Utley ceremony, from his speech to everything else, was really tremendously done. And it was almost better that there was a rain delay, because too often they hold these things before games and the place is half filled or something. That place was absolutely packed for Chase Utley's speech. I thought it was overall a great night for Phillies fans, except for the result of the game, which followed.
Yep, and that's a Wheeler night. You got a night where Wheeler pitches and you don't win. It's a tough one to swallow. Luzardo yesterday gets the win on the mound. You'll get Andrew Painter tonight. And, Mike, I guess Painter will be interesting because what will his role be come playoff time? I think we got to start to wonder because he's not going to start a playoff game, I would imagine, as a starter. But can he give them innings as a reliever? If he pitches consistently between now and the end of the season, I wonder if he's a guy they will look at in that role.
Yeah, is he a guy that, could come in, if they need a fourth starter in the playoffs, is he a guy who could piggyback with Aaron Nola? Could he even, could they throw Nola and say, get us through the lineup once and then go to Painter and say, can you get us through the lineup once? Yeah, it'll be interesting to see exactly what he's like tonight. Is he going to continue to build on his, the performance in Baltimore and the performance at home last week? And Mike, you kind of hit it. The strength of this team is the starting pitching, and they are 47-19 when Sanchez, Wheeler, and Luzardo go out there. But again, and maybe because we're in the dog days here and guys will snap out of it, but, Sanchez hasn't been as sharp as he's lately as he was early in the season. Wheeler has not been sharp the last couple of outings. Is he going through a bit of a dead arm period? Are these guys just in the dog days? Will they emerge, when the weather gets cooler in September, and will they be the guys that we saw earlier in the season, basically? So, again, the strength of the team was starting pitching, and we talked about things kind of, we talked about the Phillies car kind of leaking a little oil. That starting pitching, though still impressive, hasn't been as good lately as it was early in the season. And that's just another thing to kind of worry about as we head down the stretch here.
Mike McGarry at AC Press McGarry, and he has more on the Phillies as they get ready to take on the Cardinals. Tonight we'll have more on the Phillies throughout the show. And Mike this week here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. All right, Mike, we'll talk to you soon, pal.
All right, Mike, we'll see you down the road. Thank you.
Mike's back on Wednesday when the Phillies wrap up their series. We're going to be at Yuri's on Wednesday as a Phillies day game watch party. This Wednesday, Yuri's in Wildwood. Stop out and see us for the Sports Bash. Coming up on the other side, we have a new show on the radio. It's called The Golics. You can listen weekday mornings from 10 to noon right here on 97.3 ESPN. When we come back, we'll have our new Golic Minute. Something you heard during the Golic show that we listened to and want to react to. You'll hear that coming up next on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN.
This is South Jersey's official home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles return to open the preseason Saturday night in Baltimore against the Ravens.
The catch is made by Henry, and he is just bounced out by Cooper DeJean.
What a great tackle by Cooper DeJean.
Listen to all the action with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick with pregame coverage starting at 6 and kickoff at 7. This is the play-by-play home of the Philadelphia Eagles. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station.
Fantasy football season is here. Book your fantasy football league draft at Chachi's 13th floor, above Villa Raffici and Absecon. For just $20 per person, your draft package includes great food and cold beer. Chachi's 13th floor, proud partner of 97.3 ESPN and the official sports bar industry Ace restaurant.
Whether you're behind the wheel or on a bike, safety starts with following the law. New Jersey bicyclists riding at night must use a white front light and red rear light visible from 600 feet away. Drivers, remember the safe passing law. Give at least 4 feet when passing people walking or biking, or slow down until it's safe. Share the road, save a life. A message from the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic and Safety and Cross County Connection. Learn more at driveless.com.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
As far as the rush, I mean, the depth you have on that D line is absolutely amazing. And they had 47 sacks last year. So add Myles Garrett to that, add, the possibility of Aaron Donald to that, which I think we both think he is going to come back. Pressure on the quarterback is not going to be an issue. It's going to be 7. And it was a defense that was basically middle of the pack in total, middle of the pack in pass, top 12 in rush, top 10 in points, where the offense was basically top 10 or number 1 in everything. They were 7th in sacks. So, they'll be possibly the best pass rushing team if you don't just count sacks, but the potential is there.
Mike Golic on the Golic, the new show right here on 97.3 ESPN. It's our Golic Minute, and it's brought to you by Yuri's, the seafood extraordinary, the value tremendous, the sunset's on the house. We'll be there Wednesday at Yuri's Waterfront Restaurant in the Boathouse at the foot of the bridge in Wildwood. Experience the best of the Jersey Shore at Yuri's in the Boathouse. It's our Golic Minute. Talk about the Rams defense, and I wanted to play that because is the Rams defense the difference maker between the Eagles and the Rams? Or is there other differences between these two teams? When you look at the separation between these two teams, is the Rams defense so significant that makes them better than the Eagles? When you think about the Rams guys, do you look at them and say, their defense is too tough?
I think with the addition of Myles Garrett, the Eagles-Rams game last year, that was the walk-off touchdown from Jordan Davis. So that game was close all the way up until the very end. But now you add Myles Garrett to the mix. Now you add Aaron Donald to the mix. That could give him the edge.
Josh, is the Rams defense significantly better than the Eagles defense?
No, because of the fact that the Eagles still have the better linebacking core, and you can argue the Eagles also have the better secondary overall. I think that people are looking at the Myles Garrett addition as a force multiplier, if you want to say that. I'll give you that, but I think that giving them the best defense moniker, we got to wait and see how it gels first.
Make sure you listen to the new show, The Golics, weekday mornings, 10 to noon, right here on 97.3 ESPN.
I like that show. Mike, good to have Mike Golic Sr. back on ESPN Radio.
Yeah, to hear the Golics, they bring a little energy to that time slot. 10 to noon, listen tomorrow, and every day, the Golics, 10 to noon, and the Golic Minute right here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3. The best of the Golic show is now on the Sports Bash. Coming up next hour, we've got plenty more as the Phillies get ready to take on the Cardinals this week.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They got him again!
Sixers.
Bang! It's good! Ball game!
And Flyers.
Tipped in front of the net!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
All right, 3 o'clock, Sports Pass Live, 97.3 ESPN. We're live at Ocean Casino, the Fanatic Sportsbook. Good to be back here, right? I mean, when you're here, it feels like you're ready for a big event. We were here for the draft. It was packed at that event for the draft.
Upstairs, yeah.
Yeah, we did it upstairs at the balcony bar. I'm listening to this Collective Soul. You know, Collective Soul's coming back to Ocean August 29th. I can't go.
You cannot go.
Can't go.
Now, I'm trying to find my way into Demi Lovato with my wife. He's a big fan of hers. So
Here?
Yeah. August 28th is Demi Lovato. August 29th is Collective Soul.
Collective Soul, yeah, August 29th. I saw Collective Soul here last year. They played with Live in Our Lady Peace. Awesome show. So if you want to go see Collective Soul, still sounds good. Still sounds good. This place is awesome. It's great to be back for another season. It means the Eagles are here. We're going to get in some Eagles. This Lane Johnson stuff. Lane Johnson admitted the other day that this could possibly be his last season, or it appears that it will be his last season. And he had not been at training camp. He had missed some time, and he finally was back the other day, and he said, family, he wants to start spending more time with the family, all that stuff. And, at the end of the road, that it's coming at some point. You know the end of the line is coming for the Philadelphia Eagles. I just wonder how much Lane's heart is into this year right now. How much does Lane Johnson want to go through? Obviously, he doesn't want to go through a whole training camp and all that stuff, but I'm just talking about another season with the injuries that he has gone through constantly and all that stuff, and learning a new offense.
Right, no more Jeff Stoutland.
Working with a new offensive line coach, having to learn a new system, a new way of blocking, all of that stuff. I just wonder, and I'm not sitting here saying, get rid of Lane Johnson. If he doesn't, if his heart's not into it, then tell him you're not welcome. That's not what I'm saying at all. If Lane Johnson wants to play, then Lane Johnson plays. You just wonder, though, what that means for this season. Is this going to be Lane Johnson's going out tour, and he's going to have the best season of his illustrious career? Is his mind and is his head into this last season? It'll be interesting to see. But you're starting to think about all of the guys over the years, the last couple of years. Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelsey, Brandon Graham, and now potentially Lane Johnson, that you've had one of those guys on the team every year since 2013. Every year since 2013, one of those guys has been on your roster and a major part of this organization. So that was some big news over the weekend, and we talked about it on Friday's show with John McMullen on whether or not this would be the end of the line for Lane Johnson. He did say that he's thinking about this probably being his last year with the Philadelphia Eagles. Nick Sirianni will have his press conference coming up at 3:30 today on the Sports Bass Live on 97.3 ESPN. He also discussed it. He did talk about the possibility of what it would mean for his right tackle to no longer be a part of this organization. He hinted at on the possibility and the potential of Lane retiring at the end of the year. And I think it's significant to say, if Lane Johnson is thinking about retiring, it's almost like, for instance, I'm going away Thursday. Okay, my team that I coach, we're going to the World Series.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
It's a good feat.
It's amazing that somehow we keep getting back there, and I have no idea what I'm doing. We have a great group of kids and parents. We had a great fundraiser. By the way, we saw some listeners at the fundraiser yesterday. One of our great listeners bid on a prize yesterday and won that prize. So it was great to see some familiar faces out there. But no, the fact that, I'm leaving for the World Series on Thursday, okay? So I'm working today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. But when you have an event like that planned or a vacation like that planned, I'm already mentally on vacation.
Right.
I'm already mentally in Jamestown, New York. We have practice tonight. We have practice on Wednesday. We are preparing to go to the World Series and try to win the World Series. But I got to do these 4 hours and chit-chat with everybody out there. But my mind, admittedly, is on some other things. That is where I wonder if Lane Johnson is.
It's only natural to be like that, too.
Right. Can I focus on the 4 hours and work when I have to? Sure. But I might not get every single little tiny detail of a game that happened 3 months ago. I might forget a little detail in that game, or, what happened in Friday night's game because it happened at 8:45 at night and said, that game happened 3 days ago. I'm getting ready for this. That is human nature. Is it human nature to also say that if Lane Johnson's already thinking about retirement, that maybe his mind is on retirement?
Well, does he still have the competitive juice left in him for 17 games coming up here in about a couple weeks? That's the question that I think we all have to ask is the competitive juices, are they still there for him? I think so. I think from what he said in his presser, he's going to make this season the best one yet once he puts those pads on.
Yeah, see, and again, listen, I have a job where for 4 hours every day I get to talk about, believe it or not, doing this every single day for 4 hours, you mentally get a little tired. It's like, okay, we're talking about the Phillies and their shortcomings again. We're talking about the Phillies and what they don't have enough of again. It's fun to say we talk about sports, but there are days where you're just like, oh my God, I'm talking about the same thing again today. But ultimately, we love and have a lot of fun doing this. I think that's where Lane Johnson is. I think Lane Johnson's at the point where he's saying, I love playing, I love doing this, but I'm getting to the end of the line.
And I think for the Eagles, for the fan base, for Lane himself, I think we all knew that he wasn't going to play another 3-4 years. I think we all thought that maybe this year or next year would be his last year.
Well, yeah, you're
regardless.
Right. You're right, Pete. We all sometimes just assume these guys, like he probably could still play another 3 years, 4 years. I mean, Jason Peters just kept going. And you wonder if Lane Johnson is, in that point in his mind where he doesn't want to be Jason Peters. He doesn't want to keep playing and maybe deteriorating. Here's what Lane Johnson said on Saturday when he discussed where he is at this point of his career. That's about it. That's all. And like Stone Cold. And that's all I got to say about that. I mean,
that's the bottom line.
And I think it's Lane coming to terms with the fact that I maybe want to keep doing this, but I can't. I'm physically breaking down. One thing I took from Friday night, did you watch the Phillies thing on Friday night? All these guys that were walking out there.
Getting old, man.
Some of them are, I said, these guys look like they were like NFL, like guys that got beat up playing in the, like some of them on team. Like I know some of them are older, but like even just the way some of these guys are limping, I said, playing on that AstroTurf at Veterans Stadium had to do a number on some of these guys.
There's only one guy that keeps ticking, and his name's Larry Boa.
I was going to say,
he was
Larry Boa is in his 80s, right?
Yeah, and he's still, sprinting out there when he gets his name called by Dan Baker. He still does the Clearwater Fantasy Camp. I know.
Larry Boa
yeah, man,
is a marvel. You're right about that. We said the same thing. I said, Ben, all these guys are limping out like they played running back in the NFL. And I said, well, Bo is out there sprinting out in there. He's pumping the fist. He's ready to go. But, Lane Johnson, you could hear it in his voice, just like, I don't know how much more I have to give. I'm going to do my best this season. And hopefully, he said now, I don't know, Josh, he said this could potentially be his last year. Right?
Yeah, he used the word probably, then he kind of switched it to potentially.
Yeah, he kept switching back and forth in the press conference with probably and potentially.
Like he said, I have to come to terms that this could probably or potentially be my last year.
And again, I mean, I think the Eagles probably knew that, right? I mean, this is not a surprise to
Well, remember, guys, just backtrack this for a hot second, just kind of give everybody context. That's what I did on Saturday. Remember, he missed 4 days for personal reasons, okay? The Eagles came out and said, hey, it's not an injury. He's got some personal stuff. And I don't know about you guys, but when that first came out, I was like, is this a mental health thing again? Like, what's going on? And for him to come back and at that presser on Saturday, come out to all the media and say that there's this like convergence of his family life and his professional life, talking about being a father. He talked about how, having a kid changes your life and your priorities. And like, that didn't sound like a guy who was like, I can't move anymore. That sounded like a guy who's like, you know what? Maybe I like being a dad more than playing football.
Well, and Gil mentioned it too. I mean, his body, he didn't make it through a full season last year. His season ended early, right, with the Liz Frank injury. So he was out for the final, I don't know.
Well, he missed the whole end of the season. Yeah.
Yeah. So, his body, he's realizing that his body cannot take this.
But he didn't, longer. But again, he didn't bring up his health a lot in the presser on Saturday. He kept bringing up being a father and his family. Like, it was almost like a broken record after a while.
I think those two go hand in hand now, though.
You think so?
Yeah. Life as an NFL player. Sure.
Well, and you brought up the fact that he got hurt last year. If you remember the Hard Knocks in season,
right?
It seemed that he thought he was going to be able to get back to play.
Remember, they had that whole montage of him working out.
Yeah, they featured his potential ability to get back on the field as part of that show. It was a big feature of one of the episodes, and the fact that he couldn't get back out there, you wonder if he realizes like these injuries are catching up to me. And I was watching the Big Boss Man episode of Dark Side of the Ring. Did you see that on Tuesday night?
No.
But the story was really about this. It's really sad. You see these stories, a lot of these wrestlers die at an early age. He also died at an early age. But listening to his daughter, and you hear about the fact that they're on the road so much and they just don't have a dad and they don't have that family life. And the daughter was talking about how much that really impacted her.
Yeah.
And that when he went to WCW, one of the things that she liked about it was that his schedule was not nearly as intense as it was when he was in the WWE, and that the father was around a lot more. And you see now that Lane with a family, I think he's married for the second time recently. I think he got married this offseason, right?
Let me double check.
Yeah, wasn't that that was Devontae Smith's wedding, right? Where they made a big deal about A.J. Brown being there.
I thought that Lane got married this offseason, but he had been, if you remember a couple of years ago, he had gotten divorced, and wasn't that, I think that caused him to miss a little bit of time.
He got married in April.
Right, he got married this offseason in April, but I think that he got divorced, whenever he got divorced, I think that caused him to miss some time.
He got divorced in 2022.
And he was having some mental health issues, I think, at that point.
Yes.
Because I think he missed some time. And was that in training camp that he missed some time because of that? And so obviously family is pretty impactful for Lane. And you just wonder, and as I watched that show last night, and then I'm hearing Lane Johnson talk about this, and you hear this daughter, you wonder, you got a new wife, you got, a family, and you're starting now, your life is consumed. And I think we all just take for granted that that's their lives and all these people do it. And I was thinking about this one time, this was years ago. And we were talking about, I think it was a bad Eagles team. Maybe I was doing the Danny Watkins show with Danny Watkins. Remember Danny?
Yeah, the firefighter, Danny Watkins, yeah.
And Danny didn't love playing football. I think that was pretty apparent.
He'd rather go into a burning building and
I
save
think
some lives.
he had other
Right.
aspirations, and here he is. And because, he didn't – I remember having a conversation with him where he didn't know who Walter Payton was. Like, he just had no concept of him. He was from Canada. He just didn't follow football, It's where just because you played the game doesn't mean you have an intense knowledge of the game. Some people just have talent. Danny was one of those guys. He had the talent. He didn't know anything about the game. But, he would talk about, where your wife or your girlfriend is your team is eliminated from the playoffs. What do they need you for? Just play the backup guys. Why do you have to be at practice every single day? It doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
But that's just not how the culture is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're playing a whole long baseball season and your team's completely out of it. You have to still go every single day and play. It can't be hey, we're eliminated. Well, I just don't feel like showing up today.
Yeah, you think, the Mets or whoever, the Rockies should just stop playing?
Exactly. That season's over, or we're eliminated. Let somebody else play today. I'm going to go take my daughter to her soccer practice. That's just not how it works. And I think, how old's Lane? 37?
36.
Okay, 36, 37. He's still at that age where he's young enough to be a part of doing things. It's these guys get to that's the one good thing is they get to retire at such a young age, and they don't have to worry about money at 37 years old. They can go be a part of their kids' lives. So I don't know. Does anybody hear Lane talk about that and have any worry about his play this season?
I'm only not worried because my theory is that he might be one of those guys that says, I'm going to give my all for one more year, and then I'm going to empty the tank and be done. Kind of like J.J. Watt did at the end of his career. Remember Watt, when he announced it was going to be his final year, he actually was healthy for the first time in 3-4 years or whatever. And he just basically emptied the tank. And at the end, he was like, could I play? Sure. Do I want to play? No. I want to go home with my wife.
And I just think Lane.
And good on Lane for being transparent about it, right? It's out in the open now.
Can you play the Lane bite one more time? I want to hear how he worded this one more time.
Yeah, let me scroll it back up. Give me a sec.
So I think if you listen to the way Lane says this, it sounds like, I don't know, that he leave a little window that if he has a good year this year, that maybe he could come back and, or obviously if the Eagles were to win the Super Bowl, they kind of go out.
And the other side of the coin is if the Eagles don't win the Super Bowl, they get a 20th first round pick in 2027. That's your right tackle pick, right?
They drafted
Markel
Bell
right
last year, and he's been getting a lot of the reps in this training camp
as right tackle.
So,
right.
And really quick about that before we get to the Lane bite, Lane even said on Saturday that he thinks Markel is the best tackle he's seen coming into camp since he's been with the Eagles.
Lane has given the blessing, so to speak, as the heir apparent.
Yeah,
for Markel Bell.
Whatever that's worth. Here is Lane Johnson again. You asked for Mike.
Yeah, so potentially this could be – it's lining up that this could potentially be my last season. And then, we forget sometimes, he's 37 years old. These guys, a lot of times they don't have teenagers. They're still having – their kids are still younger.
It reminds me a little bit of – remember when Jason Kelsey retired? One of the comments that he made, he said is Kylie basically went to – was like, you need to retire before you can't play with your kids anymore. So you have to wonder, Lane's got a new wife. They just got married, right?
He also talked about his parents getting older.
He talked about that too, about how he wants to spend time with his parents for, they're no longer around. Not to be morbid, but, it's kind of the vibe too. He just sounds like a guy that's like, look, I'm going to empty the tank one more year. I want to walk off into the sunset on my terms,
All right, well, good stuff from Lane. We'll hear more about what Chris Canty said about Lane Johnson coming up later on in the Unsportsmanlike Moment of the day. That's at 3:45 today. But coming up next, you'll hear what Nick Sirianni had to say about Lane Johnson. Coming up next, right here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. And, of course, don't forget, I'm going to tell you about my friends over at Key Acura of Atlantic City. You know, the other day, my friend Rocco came into the studios of 97.3 ESPN, and we talked a little bit about what's going on with the Eagles and, of course, LeBron and the Sixers. And we talked about the one thing is consistency. Got to have consistency. It matters, and that's exactly what the Sixers are going to try to get this year with a more consistent playing time in their lineup. But that's exactly what they have at Key Acura of Atlantic City. My friend Rocco and his team have built a loyal fan base of repeat customers by doing things the right way year after year. Acura delivers the kind of performance, precision, and dependability you can count on, and the team at Key Acura backs it with outstanding customer service. Go see for yourself. Key Acura of Atlantic City, a small but friendly dealer. Tilt Road EHC online, KeyAcuraAtlanticCity.com. All right, when we come back, the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, Nick Sirianni's press conference right here on the Sports Bash.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN. You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
On 97.3 ESPN.
The 3 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash is brought to you by Broadleaf Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Call 609-390-3907 or visit them online at broadleaf.net. 3 o'clock hour live at the Fanatic Sportsbook Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. We got a Phillies fastball tonight at 5:30. Phil's lineup should come out in a little bit. They're a 7:40 start tonight, so it probably should come out here shortly. It might even be out. I didn't take a look during the last break there, but if it is out, we'll get it to you. And, of course, right here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Walk-off win for the Phillies, Derek Hill single. The last time the Phillies had a walk-off win this season, Justin Crawford had a single. They also had a walk-off win earlier the same day, Alec Bohm with a sac fly. And they also had one on April 1st. So twice Justin Crawford has been a part of the Phillies walk-off win. We'll talk more Phillies later on. But right now, the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles met the media today. And, of course, you'll hear from Nick Sirianni, his day after pressers, every Monday right here on the Sports Pass Live on 97.3 ESPN. And, of course, right now, the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, here is Nick Sirianni.
You guys installed the system, any more consideration of playing guys for the preseason, or?
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously we got to get through this week, and that's at the end of the week. We talk through everything. Everything's usually fluid in that matter, and we'll see how that continues to go. Obviously we want to support Lane in that, and and he's a phenomenal football player. One of the best guys I've ever been around, and in my opinion, the best offensive lineman in the NFL. So glad he's here, and just thinking about every day. I can't say enough good things about Lane, but you don't think about those things until later on, and just happy he's here and out of practice and contributing to our football team.
From a perspective, I know you don't think about it, but when you go all the way back when you're a first-time head coach, and you usually don't get players like Lane and Fletch and Jason, Brandon. Have you ever thought about that and how it helped build the winning culture?
Oh, all the time. Yeah, those guys are all awesome. Every one of those guys, have so much respect for Lane and for Jason and for Brandon and for Fletch, and great relationships with those guys and love them to death. And I've said that before, like just how much they brought early on and continue to bring that group to the team, and knew how to win, knew how to practice, knew how to lead, and you love that about those guys.
Nick, you said at the beginning of camp, it would kind of be like this on offense. Now that you're entering day 9, are there any specific areas you feel the offense is really taking some step forwards and so far?
Again, you're just looking for continual progression in every scenario. You're looking for that progression in assignments, right? You're looking for that progression in how you take care of the football and how you're ball handling, and you look for that progression in how you're catching. And so you're looking for that in all areas. I think we're continually improving. Which when you put the work in, like we're putting in, and the extra work that the guys put in on their own, you have no choice but to continue to get better. So, and I appreciate the coaches of, when there is something that's struggling, and the attention to detail that they're putting in, and the players are putting in on that. So, again, just a continual progression of what we're looking for. And I think that we are getting better in areas, in the areas that we emphasize.
About how Jalen is picking up the offense.
I think you're seeing it out there. He's just doing a really good job. I think you can see how quickly he's getting through progressions and onto the next read with great footwork. Jalen's a very accurate passer, and you're seeing that continue to shine. Just some of the new things that, with different footworks that he has to do, is particularly under center. You're just seeing the growth of him daily within this offense and getting more and more comfortable, and you're seeing that on the field, and and so I think Jalen's having a great camp and look forward to continuing that.
Players have talked about how being the aggressor on offense, getting the line quick, using cadence as a weapon. How much was that something that you wanted to shift back toward being the aggressor in the offseason? What do you like about this levels?
Yeah, again, always want to be able to use cadence. That's a weapon that the offense has. With on the defense, they know when the snap count is. They know how to switch up the snap count. That's a game within the game that Jalen, has to do a really good job at. And so, yeah, that's been good. I think just being able to fire off the football on some of the wide zone things have been good to see. And so it's been a good start to camp. And getting the pads on allows it to be more aggressive on both sides of the football. And we're getting as far as an offense goes, we're getting a great defense to go against on a daily basis, and a great defensive line to go against on a daily basis in particular. So, that just allows for growth when iron sharpens iron.
Hey, Nick, Lane said Markel's the most impressive rookie he's ever seen. How important is this year going to be for Markel to have Lane have that overlap for a year? And what have you seen from Markel?
Yeah, I think it's always, like I've said to you guys in the past, whether it's Cam with Jason when for 2 years, learning from him and then playing beside him, or Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter being with Fletch, and Jalix and Nolan being with Brandon, and same thing here. Markel being able to learn from Lane. Like, these guys out here, they all have guys that they like to study. From around the league. Whoever's game is similar or whose game they respect, and to be able to have the guy, I can imagine that there's a lot of people that study Lane Johnson, even though there's not a lot of people that can do what Lane Johnson does. But now not only can you study him, but you can ask him why he did something in this particular case. And I think that is very beneficial for a young player to have, or any player to have for that matter, to have one of the all-time greats, to be able to ask them questions of what he did, why he did it, and that leads to great growth. Yeah, I think you've really seen Willie continue to get better and be more, and you notice him even more once the pads have come on. And so, he has ability to play, in the inside on the center or guard, and good versatility, smart guy, athletic. And he's been fun to watch at the camp. I think we find ourselves as coaches, when we're watching tape, just kind of being like, man, Willie did it again. And Willie's getting some really good guys to go up against. And so that's tested every day. And, we're just looking for him to continue to grow and continue to show what he can do, because, it's about consistency. We all want consistency to have that steady growth and getting better. But you're building trust. And I think Willie is building trust with his teammates, because you build trust by consistently doing what you're supposed to do out there. And Willie's been doing that, and I know not only the coaches, but we're all impressed by Willie.
How was the player in your experience graduating from designated role?
Yeah, everybody has a role to play on this football team. That and roles don't have to stay the same for always, right? There's different reasons of why guys switch out of roles, but we're going to need every role filled that we need to play offense and play defense and play special teams and leadership and everything like that. And so just because you're the dirty work guy doesn't necessarily mean that the ball can't come to you on third down or whatever it may be. So that kind of plays itself out as the training camp progresses. We'll talk through that as a team at some particular point in training camp. But you graduate, I guess, to really answer your question, Zach, is you graduate by trust and by consistently doing what you're supposed to do and say, man, okay, we look at him as this dirty work guy, but man, he's had opportunities in training camp to win on third down, and he has done that. Well, let's give him those opportunities. So everything that we do is built on trust, and you get that through practice, you get that through meeting films, you get that through walkthroughs that you consistently do. And I keep saying that word, consistently do what you're supposed to do.
When it comes to trades, you kind of several times you mentioned Keenan Allen, trade swaps with Tay, not taking with. Now that you've seen Tay for a good number of practices, do you still like that?
Yeah, I think the things that remind me of Keenan are his ability to separate at top of the route and the ability to get off press. But also, I thought Keenan was such a feisty player, and he'll do Keenan would do the dirty work, and Tay has done the dirty work, and Tay, the competitiveness reminds me of each other, and so I hope you know how much high praise that is, because of what you guys know I think of Keenan. So that is I think Tay's been doing a good job, and and then we'll look for him to continue to do so. Yeah, I think it's what resonated with me the most is that there is no secret to why success happens, right? It's really hard, dirty work is really at the end of the day, and I can resonate with that, right? It's hard, dirty work at the end of the day that's going to get it done. And I think sometimes we can get caught up in flash of whatever, but at the end of the day, tackling wins. At the end of the day, block destruction wins. At the end of the day, toughness wins. At the end of the day, ball security and takeaway ability wins. At the end of the day, blocking wins. At the end of the day. So all these fundamentals that can get overlooked sometimes are what makes it happen. And the only way to get better at those fundamentals, it's not going to happen just because you're talented. It's going to happen because of the work that you put in. And I think that I can just resonate with that so much. So many of our guys on the team can resonate with that so much. And we know that if we put the work in on a daily basis, we can reach God willing, reach where we need to go as a football team and be playing our best football by the end of the year.
To put forward that message, that obviously you said president, but who else do you lean on? I guess players on the field to bring that mentality for it to resonate to the rest of the group.
Yeah, I think you got our leaders on the football team. That guys are constantly looking at them to see how they're working. And I think that we have a bunch of guys like that on this team, and I think one thing that is very obvious is that our best players work the hardest, and you'll be exposed if you don't. And so, I love when we're able to, like, alignment is so critical. We all have to understand this, and so that's not only alignment within the coaching staff, that's alignment from coaching staff to players, and since day one here, I feel like we've had great alignment there, and how they relay the message, and really it's not even just, you can relay the message as much as you want, but everybody's looking at your actions. So at the end of the day, am I living the tough, detailed together world? Are our leaders on our football team living the tough, detailed together world? And is that trickling down to everybody else because the coaching staff and the leaders on the football team are doing that?
There's Nick Sirianni, a couple of key point takeaways from Sirianni. I definitely think let's go back to the opening here. The first question that was asked, I think, is something that we should really bring up and talk about. That it is a fair question, guys, to ask. With this new offense, are we going to see the Eagles starters play in the preseason, at least on the offensive side of the ball. Now, I'm not a big proponent. Like, I don't care. I don't need to see my Eagles starters play in the preseason. I don't need to see that. They won a Super Bowl without them playing in the preseason. But this is a different situation. Do you guys want to see the starters play in the preseason this year, specifically on the offensive side of the ball?
Well, Jalen Hurts is one thing, but maybe.
Yeah, but isn't Jalen Hurts the guy that needs to get the reps?
You absolutely. Definitely Hurts with some of his new receivers, yes. But the other side of the coin is maybe they don't want to put stuff on tape. Maybe they want to wait till week 1 against the Commanders and surprise everybody, much like we saw with Mike Vick and that offense, that first Monday Night Football game. You know, maybe that's what their line of thinking is.
Should
they don't want to put stuff on tape?
Should they do it? Yes. Will they do it? No. Because the point you just made, Pete, Sirianni loves the competitive advantage, not giving anything away.
Right. I mean, the practice report, we go through that every season, right?
I mean, he was
secretive they are.
Like, for example, he was on with Garofalo earlier. One of the comments he made is like, well, you're at practice here, but you don't see everything we're doing. And it's like they're so obsessed with not giving like a shred of information away because it's just so silly.
Well, you wonder if the Eagles look at it this time and say, hey, we've got to get reps in real game situations. And the only way to do that, I know they're going to go up to Foxborough next week and have these
that'll be fun.
Joint practices.
Yeah, AJ.
But is that enough to get ready for the season, which, I always say about the preseason too. Look, you're playing a preseason game on August the 15th. If you play in that game, is that really going to help you get prepared for a game that's on September, whenever the Eagles open 10th? I mean, that's a month away. So, if anything, maybe they get some reps in the last preseason game, but I don't doubt you're going to see them playing these. But I think that's a fair
It is.
question
I mean, because it is live hitting. I mean, the Ravens are trying to tackle you and beat you. So
right, and it's live defense that you have to. Now, you might vanilla your offense, but at least you would have an opportunity to run that offense in a real game setting.
It's not scripted, so you don't know what's coming.
By the way, the Phillies did not take my advice. They have placed Caleb Killian on the injured list, and they have recalled Chase Sugar is back.
Poor.
Is that going to help the
bullpen? He's a fresh arm, right? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, he went down for one day, he came back. Did he even take the drive to Lehigh? Or did he just sit with a mustache like Bobby Valentine? Sat in the bullpen. I mean, sat in the clubhouse with a fake mustache.
Met everybody on the team plane going out to St. Louis.
Killian, by the way, is on the 15-day injured list. He has a left oblique strain. That doesn't sound good. So the trade that you made to get Killian to help your bullpen, that looks like that will now be null and void. Chase Sugar, who my buddy was at my house Friday night. We were watching the Phillies game. He says, "Oh, what's up with this guy Sugar?" And I said, "He stinks." I said, "He's a 4A player. That's what he is. I mean, he's a guy that if you keep bringing him up and down, I mean, don't the Phillies owe it to themselves to find out if McFarland can help him? You already know that Sugar. I can't stand these things. You already know what Sugar is, and you know that he's not good enough to help you win a World Series. You want to waste that guy's innings, waste him in June, July. But don't waste him now down the stretch. Give me someone that can potentially help." All right, Sports Pass Live, 97.3 ESPN. When we come back, it's today's Unsportsmanlike Moment of the Day. What does Chris Canty have to say about Lane Johnson's comments? You'll hear it coming up next.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
The 3 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash is brought to you by Broadleaf Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Call 609-390-3907 or visit them online at broadleaf.net.
My former coach, Bill Parcells, always stated, if you're thinking about retirement, you are retired. I say that not to insinuate that Lane Johnson won't be great this season, but to acknowledge that Philly is transitioning into another iteration of the team. Losing leadership like Brandon Graham, Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, and soon to be Lane Johnson puts even more of a spotlight on head coach Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts to fill that vacuum. And in an offseason that was highlighted by addition by subtraction by moving on from A.J. Brown, Lane Johnson's retirement, sneaky big news, and I'm curious to see how it impacts what we see from the Philadelphia Eagles this upcoming season.
Chris Canty, that's our Unsportsmanlike Moment of the Day, brought to you by my friends over at Clark's Moving and Storage. They helped me make my big move. They should help you, too. If you're thinking about moving your stuff, think about Clark's Moving and Storage in Rio Grande. Go to clarksmovingandstorage.net. All right. So Canty brings up a point we were talking about in the first hour. If you're already thinking about retirement, is your mind on retirement? And I kind of liken it to, I'm going on vacation coming up. I'm thinking about vacation. I don't want to be working anymore. I'm kind of like, hey, I'm ready to go on vacation. I want to think about what I'm going to do on vacation. Where am I going to go? I think Lane's in a little bit of a different situation here. I think he's in that spot where he says, okay, I'm coming to terms with this is my last year, and let's have it be my best year, right? This is my last year. Let's go out and have a banger. It's like a graduation party. It's the last time you might see all your college buddies. One more shebang before we have to go to the real world. We can't go out on Tuesday night and have mug night anymore at the dungeon.
It's time to grow up. It's time to grow up.
And that's where Lane Johnson is, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's time to think about life after football. Yeah. And with Lane, we talked about it earlier, there's no more Jeff Stoutland either. So it's a new offensive line coach. It's a new offense.
I will say Lane is going out of his way to speak very highly of Cooper and Mannion. So is that just him putting out a company message? You think he really is serious?
I mean, what's he going to rip the guy?
Well, he could beat around and be like, I miss Jeff. Chris is great, but I miss Jeff.
He's not gonna miss Kevin Patullo. That's for sure.
No, but in terms of learning a new technique and a new style,
yeah,
there were some reports this offseason that Lane was thinking about, and by the way, Landon too. And then Landon said, I don't know where those reports came from.
Right.
But could it have been thoughts that, hey, I don't want to learn a whole new blocking scheme? Now, we talked to McMullen on Friday, and he said one of the things that's going to be different about the offensive line and their new offensive line coach is that Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata in this new offense should get more help on the outside.
Right.
Whereas a lot of times, Jeff Stoutland was like, dude, you guys are so good. You're one-on-one out there.
Yeah, that's something that Lane said recently. He said that this offensive scheme does not let you be stuck one-on-one as often. You get a lot more help in pass protection.
By the way, that's our Unsportsmanlike Moment of the Day. Listen to Unsportsmanlike tomorrow morning from 6 to 10 a.m. on 97.3 ESPN with Evan, Michelle, and Canty, and the Unsportsmanlike Moment of the Day every day right here on the Sports Bash. We just told you prior to tonight's game against the Cardinals, the Phillies are placing pitcher Caleb Killian on the 15-day injured list with an oblique strain. That's not a good injury. I would imagine he's going to miss a lot of time with that. To replace him on the roster, Chase Sugard has been recalled from AAA. I mean, talk about insanity, just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. We'll talk about that coming up. But coming up next, it is today's Football at 4.
This is South Jersey's official home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles return to open the preseason Saturday night in Baltimore against the Ravens.
The catch is made by Henry, and he is just bounced out by Cooper DeJean.
What a great tackle by Cooper DeJean.
Listen to all the action with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick with pregame coverage starting at 6 and kickoff at 7. This is the play-by-play home of the Philadelphia Eagles. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station. South Jersey's official play-by-play home of the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers.
At 0 point would I ever consider not being a fan of the team.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. And, of course, it is brought to you by the Fanatic Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. That's where we are today. We are back at Ocean Casino at the Fanatic Sportsbook, where you can watch every Eagles game, including this Saturday when they take on the Baltimore Ravens to kick off the start of the NFL season here in Philadelphia. We have another season of Football at 4, and Geoff Mosher is back after a little vacay, a little rest and relaxation. You know, we were talking about this. The big story kind of was over the weekend. Lane Johnson, kind of saying this could potentially be his last year. And we liken it to, like, you were on vacation last week. So when you were doing Football at 4 the week before, your mind may not have been fully on that segment. You're thinking about leaving. Do you worry about that with Lane Johnson, that if you're thinking about retirement, your mind is on retirement?
I'll offer a counterpoint. I was suffering from major pre-vacation work stress, and I was trying to get so much done in advance with Inside the Birds. There's a lot I do behind the scenes that not a lot of people knew how to do, so I had to do training. I was 100% focused, even more so than usual, on the job at hand. And I would think for Lane Johnson, if he knew this was his last year, and look, Lane's so great at what he does, it's not like he has to laser focus in more. I understand. I had the same thought you did, man. You've got a lot of stuff going on that you're candidly talking about outside your football life, right? That's taking your attention away and took you away from camp. Like, do you have one foot out the door? Do you have your mind elsewhere? And I do think that's an understandable question, but he's so good at what he does, Mike, and he has been for so long, that I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here. I think it's fair to wonder, but like when you're playing football, you can get real hurt if you're not fully focused on everything you're doing. And it's not like Lane to get to be in this position and not give it 100% of effort and attention. That's why I think he left, is to make sure everything was taken care of that needed to be, and he came back when he felt ready.
Yeah, and I know there was some murmurs over the offseason whether or not he actually thought about coming back because, Jeff Stoutland being out, he's got to learn a whole new role. I mean, how much different will his role be this year than it has been in the past? I guess is that an unknown, or do we have an idea of what the tackles how they'll be different now with Chris Cooper as the offensive coordinator and this new offense?
Yeah, I mean, his role will not change. It's block the guy in front of you and block him well and keep him off the quarterback. How they go about doing that might be a little bit different. I think that there's a little bit too much made about the whole like guard help and everything. I think that's part of under center play action and having two tight ends out there and how you're blocking it up. I mean, for the most part, he's going to be the right tackle. He's going to face probably a Pro Bowl or an All-Pro edge almost every single week. And when it's 3rd and 5, right, then he's going to have to block that guy. And I don't think he's not going to be getting help that much. He's still part of the success is being able to leave him on an island so that you can throw to your running back, you can throw to your tight end without that guy having to stay in too long.
Yeah, because, one of the things in the past, last year, I wonder how much that injury last year and him not being able to get back, really was frustrating for him. Like that whole Hard Knocks, they did a whole feature on how close he felt to coming back, and then he couldn't do it. You wonder if that's like, hey, I'm getting hurt. I can't get back as fast. My family, my parents, he mentioned his parents getting older. How much the injury, though, and all the injuries he's had over the years have kind of played a role in this being potentially it for him.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of wear and tear on the body, and there's no doubt about it. He's overcome a lot of injuries, the ankle surgeries from earlier in his career, the mental health obstacles that he's overcome, this latest Liz Frank. And, as you get older, it doesn't get easier. And then as you get older, as he mentioned, there are other forces outside of your football career that pull at you. However, I'll say this, Mike. I also think that it's frustrating when you can't be who you want to be and you're that good of an athlete, and he wasn't able to be that guy. If Lane Johnson goes out there and starts, 15 to 17 to 18 games and deep into the playoffs, makes All-Pro, makes Pro Bowl, looks like the Lane Johnson that you knew, and the team does really well, it would not surprise me if he was back again in 2027, even though he's saying right now this is very likely his last year. He left some wiggle room. He actually said this is potentially probably going to be probably my last year. I mean, if that's not a word salad of probably and potentially, I don't know what is. So I think some of his frustration stemmed from just not being the guy that he expects to be last year. And if he can get back to that level and play, it would not surprise me if he stuck it out longer.
Geoff Mosher, Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, looking at the Eagles camp as they now get ready for a preseason game. Let's talk about a question that was asked to Nick Sirianni today. I want to get your take on it and what you think, Jeff. Play in the preseason. They have not played in the preseason over the Sirianni era. No starters. But should the offense be out there to get some live reps?
I mean, they're not. So it doesn't really matter what we think. Look, the company line is when you have joint practices against teams, which they'll have against New England, right? I think they're doing it also against, are they doing against the Bengals too? Like one against Cincinnati, I think I have to go back and look, but they treat those like the first team offense in a preseason game because everything gets a little scripted there and they're able to work on everything. And it's first versus first, which you can't always guarantee when you're playing in a preseason game. So it's been a formula for them that they believe has worked and they're going to stick to it.
Yeah. Do you think they should play? You personally, would you like? Because to me, I mean, you'd have to preseason game on August the 15th when you don't play for like another month. Like I don't know how that's going to do it. Like even if you have I don't know, a series or two, is that really going to carry over to your first regular season game a month later?
Right. I mean, I think that there's some advantages and some disadvantages, but it's all sort of case by case. I think that if you told me that the Ravens are not going to play their first team defense, then I don't need to see the Eagles first team offense against Ravens backups. That's what camp is. Your offense against your backups, and then occasionally you scrimmage against the first team. So to me, it's not that big of a deal. I know people want to make a big deal about, you're on like the stadium and there's a crowd and you're play calling. And I think that there's a little bit of a fair argument to that, but these guys, it's not like it's like a team of rookies. It's a pretty veteran team. So if you told me the Ravens were playing their first team defense, I would say, yeah, there would be upside to playing your first team offense. But then there's also, of course, the risk of more injury or something happening. And, they like to protect their guys. They like to save it for the practices where they can script it and they can control what goes on. And then, get a better look at the guys fighting for jobs and get more film for those guys during the preseason games.
Adam said the other day that he thinks that 48 of the 53 spots are up. Those last from 48 to 53 are up for grabs. So who do you think this is a big group of 3 games for? Who are some of the guys that you're going to kind of be saying, all right, these 3 games might help that group of players?
All right. So definitely backup offensive linemen. We're talking about, Drew Kendall to me is pretty solidified, but I do think it's big for Markel Bell because he could push to be the top backup offensive tackle. I don't think Fred Johnson's going to be off the team, but they want to get Markel Bell. They want to see him develop. And if Lane Johnson gets hurt, obviously it'll be a decision about whether to go to Fred or whether they think they can rely on Markel Bell and kind of start that transition if this truly is Lane's last year. So Markel Bell reps, I think, would be pretty interesting. And then again, I think Drew Kendall, you want to see him play well because they expect him to be the top interior backup. But there's going to be another interior backup. Could it be Willie Lampkin? Is it going to be Michael Jordan, the veteran that they brought in? Is it somebody else? Micah Morris, the 6th-round pick. Those are the guys that I'll really be looking at to see how they fare, because interior offensive line, as we all know, when we're talking about the biggest questions facing the Eagles in 2026, offensive line depth, especially on the interior, is one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things there. You brought up Fred Johnson. I think everybody just assumes he has been the main guy. They traded for him to bring him back. So is there a possibility that he is not on this roster?
Well, I mean, I think it's unlikely that he's not part of the 69-man roster, right? If you count the practice squad, if they can work something out where he starts off on the practice squad for a little bit and then makes it to the 53, I don't know, or spends most of the year on the practice squad and gets elevated at times, depending on the injury situation. I don't think that they'll be ready to go into the season with Markel Bell, a rookie 3rd-round pick, as the top backup, even if he's playing well. You need to have that veteran. So, yes, Fred Johnson will be on the overall 69. Will it be on the 53? That remains to be seen.
All right, so that'll be something to watch here. On the other thing on the offense, where's your concern level with the wide receiver situation, with specifically Lemon not being ready, but then how that affects this group moving forward? I mean, now we're getting into the first preseason week, and it doesn't appear that he's ready to practice.
Yeah, and I know how frustrating that is, especially for fans who want to see him. I would remind everybody that Cooper DeJean missed a lot of training camp with a hamstring injury, did not make a big impact the first 4 weeks of that 2024 year, and then finally got on the field, and the defense completely did an about face. So it's clear right now that it's going to be hard for Mekhi Lemon to be a starter and maybe even a significant contributor for the first few weeks of the season, because he missed OTA time as well, right? So now this is a lot of time he's missed. But I will say this, I mean, he could join them.
Do you most, though, think it's different in the situation than Cooper, where you traded A.J. Brown, you drafted this guy in the first round, the anticipation was he kind of softens that blow, whereas Cooper, you didn't know he was going to be Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, but I mean, Cooper DeJean was a really high 2nd-round pick, right? And Lemon was at the difference between Lemon at 21, right? And Cooper was 33. That's not a huge difference. So, I mean, I think expectations were pretty big. I get what you're saying, because now Cooper didn't have to replace a legend, but the Eagles were struggling at corner. I mean, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper were certainly saviors to that defense, and everything changed when Cooper DeJean got into it. But I think with the situation with Lemon, because you have Dontavian Wicks along with Devontae Smith and Mike, I mean, this is the 2nd year in a row. I can't sit here and tell you that Darius Cooper is not one of the 3 best receivers on the Eagles. I can't say that he's not. I'm not saying that he definitely is, but I'm intrigued. I think this kid is more than just a flash in the pan. I think he's showing that. He obviously didn't contribute a lot as a rookie because there was no room and there was a different offense, and he got hurt early in the season, went on IR, but he's getting every opportunity. He's shining now. And
so what is he, an outside? Is he an outside guy, or is he a guy that can play in the slot?
He's built like A.J. Brown. He could certainly play the X. They played him in the slot.
We had this conversation. I was having this conversation with somebody this weekend. So you've got Smith, Lemon, Wicks. Those 3 definitively. Are there other definitive ones for you?
Those are the 3 locks. I think Marquise Brown, based on salary and pedigree, I mean, it's going to take a lot to get him off the roster. Okay. I think he's about as close to a lock because of that as you can get at 4. And Cooper is 5. Right now, that's your 5. If they decide to keep 6, it comes down to Johnny Wilson as a special teams, as a dirty work guy, versus maybe Elijah Moore, who's just having a really good camp, but doesn't really contribute on special teams. So I don't know what they do there. But
then you get to Elijah Moore, was the guy that Adam brought up on Friday, having a really good camp, and he's got a good pedigree in terms of 2nd-round pick. But if you're the fifth or sixth receiver, how many? Now, that's different. Before, if you were the fifth or sixth receiver on this team, you wouldn't get any targets. But what about now?
I think that's what I was about to say to you is just because you're Darius Cooper and make it as the quote unquote fifth receiver, who says you can't be in the top 3 when it comes to playing time at, maybe not week 1, but if you're playing really well, I mean, the guy is half the battle was just showing you belong, right? He did that last year. Then the other half is showing that you not only belong, but you can play. He is out there running against the first team defense. I was there Saturday. They practiced for 2 hours. He was running with the first team because there's no Devontae Smith, no Mekhi Lemon, right? And he's making plays. Made plays again today. So, at this point, again, I'm not trying to put the wagon before the cart. He obviously has to prove himself even more. But who is to say, my point is that he's not as good as Dontavian Wicks or not good enough to be one of your top 3 receivers when you're in 11 personnel, especially if Mekhi Lemon's not ready to be in that top 3 yet.
Yeah. Well,
it's a
I think
great
that'll
question.
Yeah. Well, and then let me ask you this. If you kept an extra receiver, where do you see Eli? His name is blanked on me right now. Stowers, yes. Where do you see him at this point? And is Calcaterra a lock to make this team? Because Johnny Munt, you think makes this team?
A lock? No, no. I mean, has anybody talked about Grant Calcaterra since the start of camp?
Oh, I'm glad you said this. I'm just saying some of these guys that you're like, why they keep coming back? They keep coming back. And, you got now is Johnny Munt a lock for you?
I think he's another lock to be on the 69. There might be some roster tango at the start of the year that he's on the practice squad as an elevated guy because they're trying to go heavier at another position. But yeah, I think right now, they want to play a good amount of 12 personnel. Dallas Goedert, Johnny Munt. I think that as the days go by, Cam Latu looks more and more like a guy who's going to be on the 53 because he can block, he can catch, and he's a dog on special teams. So those 3.
So can you keep that many tight ends?
You can keep 3 tight ends, yeah, for sure. You could also keep 2 and stash your practice squad with a bunch of them.
So obviously Dallas is 1. You would think Eli is 2. So is it between Munt and Latu?
Yeah, probably. But I will say this. I think Eli Stowers is a pretty good – as we sit here today, Eli Stowers is a pretty good bet to be inactive on game day for the first few weeks.
All right, that's and that's a good point by you because I figured the same thing is that if he makes the roster because I guess they could try to have some mysterious injury if they don't think he's got a big role. Because to me, I ask you, what is a second pass catching tight end's role in this offense?
I don't know. I think that remains to be seen. And that's why they're going to have some stashes on their practice squad because Goddard can catch passes, but Munt is not a pass catcher. I think Latu has the ability to be more of a pass catcher. Some of that is on the quarterback. Are you going to get to that third? I mean, the passing game is going to go through the 3 guys, right? It's going to go through Devontae Smith. It's going to go through Dallas Goedert. It's going to go through whoever that number 2 receiver is, whether it's Wicks or it could be Lemon one day when he's back, or it could be Brown. It could be Darius Cooper. But there's not going to be a whole lot of opportunities for that second tight end to catch a lot of passes. But you do need somebody to be able to do it. I agree.
All right, Geoff Mosher, now we're getting into the nitty-gritty now. We're starting to get some on-field things that are about to happen all this week. You can listen to the Eagles and Ravens right here on 97.3 ESPN. We'll talk more about the defensive storylines when Jeff's back on Wednesday. Maybe we'll do a preseason mailbag with Moshe here on the Sports Bash to see what questions people have for training camps. If you want to send some of those in, you can always email me with your questions there. Geoff Mosher's back from vacation. Everything good? Where'd you go? Hawaii?
I did go to Hawaii, yes.
I
turned 50 in the
happy birthday, Moshe.
Happy Fitty.
That
Fitty,
PG?
Fitty.
Where's he hiding?
Yeah.
PG's here.
What's up, PG? Yeah, I turned.
I couldn't resist saying
50.
happy birthday to Moshe.
So we're at Ocean Casino Resort every Monday. We're back for the season, which, by the way, sponsors Football at 4. Thanks to them, as always. Our ratings just came out. Football at 4 again. Just a freight train of a rating. A huge rating for Football at 4 for all the years. Football at 4 consistently one of our highest rated segments on the show. But there was a time,
Monday and Wednesday the highest, correct?
I will break it down for you. I will break down Monday, Wednesday, 4 to 4:25. Okay.
Nah, Kaplan probably got me beat. That's all right.
There was a time when Geoff Mosher did the Mosher Mondays with me live at a different property in Atlantic City.
Correct.
We did that for a couple of years together, didn't we?
We do every time I'm at that specific property, I find that spot where you and I would post up, and I'm like, man, I can't believe how old I really starting to feel 5-0 now, because that was a long,
What
long
were you?
time ago.
I was going to say you
Kevin
just turned.
Cobb.
You were 50. You're 50 now. I remember. I think you and I were doing the show the day that they traded for. Oh man, I think they traded for who's the head coach of the Texans?
D'Amico Ryan.
D'Amico Ryans. I think the Eagles made a trade for him the day that you and I were live there.
Yeah, we did the show a while. A lot of crazy stuff happened, while we were doing the shows.
Well,
so it was fun.
So you're 50 now. When were we doing that show? What were you, like 30?
Well, that would be 2000 and we did the show even before the D'Amico trial. We did a show when Kevin Cobb was quarterback. Was that 2010? When he lost his job to Michael Vick, right? So 2010. So I was I don't know, I was born in 76.
Yeah, 16 years ago. So
yeah, a long time ago. I was 34. I was a young pup.
And we're still churning out great Mosher Mondays here on the Sports Bash Live. We still both have jobs. That's amazing.
Yes, thanks to the listeners and thanks to the Eagles for being like a content king.
All right, man. Looking forward to talking to you again this week.
All right, fellas. Take care. Have a good one.
Welcome back. Mosher Monday here, a Sports Bash regular on the Football at 4, live on a Monday, live from the Fanatics Sportsbook, Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. But don't forget, Sebastian Maniscalco, September 17th through the 20th and the 24th through the 27th. Big screens, big bets. Game day hits different at Ocean. What game is that? I see a Flyers game on over there.
The Flyers Hurricanes playoff game. I think it's game 1, maybe.
I was out this weekend. A buddy of mine, I met up. I hadn't seen it in a while. I met up with a buddy of mine, and we were out. It was like early in the afternoon. It was like 2, 3 o'clock. They had the Phillies 2008 World Series championship game on. I watched Lidge strike out.
Who was it? Upton?
No, it was. Oh man, I'm having one of those senior moment days today. I can picture the guy. Oh, jeez. But guy goes down, swinging down to the knee. Lidge falls down.
That's HK with that memorable call.
Josh, you're supposed to say, "Oh, it was so and so." It's not.
I have no clue what you're talking about. Your description is not helping me.
The final out of the World Series. You need more of a description than that in 2008.
I mean, Carlos Ruiz?
No, the batter for the freaking Rays. I mean, how much clearer can I be? The guy that struck out for Tampa.
Well, you weren't clear. That's why I wasn't clear on what you're.
Okay. So I said something, and then I said the same exact thing. Now I'm clear because I said the same thing. The guy who struck out for Tampa to end the World Series.
No, before that, you said something else about the ceremony and the this and the that. I think it was Eric Hinsky, wasn't it?
Hinsky is the answer.
He was a pinch hitter.
I didn't say anything about the ceremony, by the way. Not one thing.
Nope.
I said I was watching the 2008 World Series, and I watched Lidge strike out the last hitter for the Rays. Who was that guy? And Josh says, you're not being descriptive enough. Sorry. The guy who was the last batter for the A's, whose name happened to be Eric Hinsky. Does that help? Who I'm looking for? It was Eric Hinsky.
Well, that was the game that was played over 2 days, right?
That McGarry brought up earlier today.
Yep.
All right, we got Nuggets coming up next on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Today's Nuggets. So we got a lot going on right now. So the Phillies decided not to call up Alex McFarland, and so they're going with Chase Sugar again. Our buddy John Kruk, who was a good friend, he says,
He's a good guy.
"How about McFarland? ? I'll take Alex, Todd, Seth. I don't give a bleep. Anybody but Sugar." That's a great text, right?
Seth
Mosher
MacFarlane
wants to
from
know:
Family Guy, yep.
Did Alex McFarland happen to kick Dave Dombrowski's dog? I can't confirm or deny that actually happened. But Alex McFarland did not get the call tonight. Chase Sugar is back for the Phillies. And by the way, Eric Hinsky was the last hitter of the World Series against the Phillies in 2008. Nuggets, what's up? By the way, I have a fun story. I had lunch with the Schweim on Saturday.
Oh,
and it was
hello.
the most embarrassing thing I think I've ever gone through in my life.
Why is that? At Pliable, correct?
We walked into Pliable, which is a great sponsor of the locker room. And he said, "Hey, I got to take you over to Pliable. They're a new sponsor." And I said, "You know what? I'll go to Pliable. I really like Pliable. I'll go and meet you there." I meet him there. The scene that occurred from that point forward was one that I just can't get behind. You know, Billy, the whole thing. He's got to go in. "Hi, I'm Billy Schwein from the locker room on 97.3 ESPN. You guys are a new sponsor of my show." I'm like mortified at this point.
Did he have some bumper stickers?
No, but he has the free bowl things. So he's like using the free thing. So now I'm mortified that I have to use the free thing. I just feel like we're going in, we're staying low key. We'll use the coupons, not, "Hey, I'm the guy. You are sponsoring my show, and I'm looking for a freebie." I mean, I was mortified. So the three girls behind the counter were looking at this guy like, "Oh, my God." I walked to the side as if I didn't even know him. I was getting as far as possible as I can go. Well, then he says to the girl, "I want one of those acai bowls." And she's like, "Okay, what would you like on said bowl?" "Well, I don't like peanut butter and I don't like bananas." "I'll take strawberry. I'll take blueberry. I'll take coconut flakes." I was like, "Can I please get out of here?" Well, then, of course, he knew a woman in the place, and he's talking to her as loud as possible. I said, "How did I get myself stuck in this situation?" So I said, when it was my turn to order, I said, "I apologize for my friend." Oh, my God. So have you gone out to lunch? Have you gone out to lunch with him before and experienced this?
This is that I should have warned you. I should have forewarned you what the experience of a lunch with the Schweiner is like. I can't even breathe. I don't know how I'm supposed to do nuggets after that. That is the nugget of the week.
Worth a free lunch? Was it worth a free bowl?
Oh, the bowl was very good. I highly recommend. I'm a fan of the Playa Bowl.
That's the sacrifice you got to make.
That's the sacrifice I had to make. Well,
I'm tearing up. Guys, I literally have tears coming down my eyes right now.
Yeah, Schweim's a little different. We act a little different. Our modus operandi are a little different. Schweim will certainly go out of his way to let everybody in the Delaware Valley that could hear him know that he is Billy Schweim from the locker room with the station, call letters, numbers, what time it's on, all of it. I'm a little different. My presentation's a little different.
I'm sorry. You should have texted me beforehand. Going out with the Schweim, he's going to know somebody. He's going to let everyone know he's there. All right. He's going to go up, shake hands with the owner. That is a tie. I have learned to just get used to it. I walk in and I just kind of go to the side and say, "Hey,
you want to hear another funny part about this?" Josh might know this guy. So Billy's, of course, talking so the whole restaurant can hear him. There's a guy that happens to be there who apparently voices some of Billy's commercials. Now, he's never met the guy. The guy lives in Maryland or something. And the guy comes out of the bathroom and he says, "Hey, are you Billy Schweim?" And Billy's like, "Hey, yeah." He's like, "I voice your commercials."
I mean, listen. Is all three of us have been out with Billy at the Super Bowl. I think you should have known what to expect. Okay, PG has been out of the Super Bowl. He's been over your house for New Year's Eve parties. You know, we knew the one year he had
Billy
gout.
was giving out free parking to Daryl Moose Johnston
Yeah.
in New Orleans a couple
You
years
remember,
ago.
this is the guy who offered free parking, the Playland, to the Moose mid-interview. Not even before or after. Mid-interview, offered him free parking. I mean, the guy is a master marketer. I'll give him that. He's an old school master marketer. I'll give him credit there. You know,
I got some
I'm
questions.
not sure it's master marketing if it's more just shameless, just absolute
unapologetic.
That's the best part. He has no shame. No shame. So you got to do it. I know Josh wants to chime in on this one. I know.
I do have a question. Who is this guy who voices? I don't even know what he's talking about. I mean, Billy, me, Nick, Aaron, we all voice all the commercials on Billy's show.
He told us the three different commercials. He does Lenigan's. He voiced that one. He voiced.
I mean, that commercial's like 10 years old.
Well, he voiced it 10 years ago. He voiced that one. There was two other ones. Josie Kelly's, who I think dropped off, but he voiced that one. And then there was one other one that he voiced. The guy said.
I mean, the Josie Kelly's was 10 years ago too. I mean, this guy's reaching back in the time machine. Him and Billy must be best friends.
Well, the guy doesn't even live around here. So somehow he said he talked to Billy on the phone years ago. He used to voice his commercials, and he recognized his voice. I said, well, yeah, because you're the loudest guy in here.
Pretty much.
That sounds about right.
But
you know,
the ordering. Whew, I just said, I'll take the Powerball, please.
Smart.
And then walked away.
Our boy Alex was there too. He showed up, and I'm wondering if Alex is listening right now. If he texted in and say, "Yeah, well, he wasn't there when Billy was ordering."
Yeah. So he missed out on the order.
Alex was coming. He didn't tell me that. I didn't know.
Well, so what happened was for those who weren't listening on Saturday, just to give a little recap, Billy spent half the show Saturday morning. I'm coming into the studio to do my show, Hanging with Hennig, and I'm listening to Billy half the show say, Alex, you're coming to Playable, right? Aaron, you're coming to Playable, right? I'm meeting Mike Gill Playable. Like half the show.
Jeez.
Mike, he was promoting it on the air. I mean, you should have known. He was walking in. I mean, that is Schweim territory right there. He's going to go up. He's going to shake hands, kiss babies. That's how you go out. That's how the Schweim rolls. You know, it's different than most of us. It's different than most of us.
He walked in that door. There's like 3 or 4 girls walking behind. So it's not like the owner was there or somebody who would like give a damn. And he announced to the world that he was there from the locker room with Billy Schweim on 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD2, Petersburg. I mean, I was like, what is going on here?
Well, when you are totally opposite. You're very low key. You don't want to you're just, you go in, you order, you do your business, you sit down, you're very low key. Billy Schweim's the complete opposite of Mike Gill. I mean, that's just clear. It's not even close. No comparison. Complete opposite. Schweim's walking in, hugging, kissing babies. That's literally what's happening.
It's like Jimmy Rollins and Chase Utley.
Correct.
Mike Gill's Chase Utley. Billy Schweimer is J-Roll.
Is J-Roll.
Different, yeah.
Just a little different.
Yeah. But the bowl was very good.
There you go. It was Pliables is awesome. Love Ply. I've been going there since college. They had one on campus at Rowan.
I have to read this text for you guys. Pat from Morris River just texted it. He says, I pick up the trash at the Summers Point location for Flyables every week. I'm half tempted to pull a Billy Schweim and run in there for lunch. LOL.
I love it.
In and out. Well, the difference was Billy had, I guess he had a couple of free bowl coupons.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I was handed one on Saturday.
Yeah, so I've gone to many of events with Schwein, and at this point, I've kind of gotten used to it. I know the routine of going out with the Schwein. I figured out my own way to go out with Schwein. I kind of just do the side. Go to the side.
Right. It's a routine.
You got to develop it. You got to develop the routine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I tried to go as far away as I could. It was just
Did he let everyone know you were there too?
That's another thing, right? It's like, I'm quite okay standing there anonymously. Okay.
All right. I guess I have nuggets today. I think. What do you want to get into? I got a couple of ideas.
Which McFarland would you rather see up over than Chase Sugar? Alex McFarland, Seth McFarland,
McFarland USA, the movie, the cross country runners. You ever see that movie? Yeah, it's a good movie. That's a Disney movie. Great movie. Outstanding. All right. I got some nuggets for you today. First and foremost, Chase Utley inducted over the weekend. Phillies were awful. Did anyone else bawl their eyes out at seeing Chase Utley? Now that was not a short speech. That was a long speech by Chase Utley. Ryan Howard alluded, saying it'll probably be a short speech. It was not a short speech on Friday night. What do we make of the whole ceremony with Chase Utley?
I got to be honest with you. I was out Friday night. I was watching it, but I had it on my phone to try to hear it. It was hard to hear. Now, the parts that I did hear, there were a lot of good parts of it, but I have not actually listened to the whole thing. I did see they had it cut up on NBC Sports Philadelphia, so I plan on going to watch the thing on YouTube. But I did hear, and he did say, I promise people I won't be too long, and then he was still long.
Yeah, he apologized to Zach Wheeler ahead of time.
Yeah.
Wheeler is just waiting to get out there for the first pitch.
Yeah, and the fact that Pat Burrell spoke, I mean, that was kind of fun to hear what he had to say. But, yeah, I mean, Chase Utley, we knew at the time when he was here at that time, he was not a big talker. He was not a big guy who liked to answer questions. He was not a media-friendly guy, but he has certainly softened up a little bit in his post career. He lives in London.
Yes, he is the ambassador of baseball in London.
Well, I mean, what he did say in the speech is he talked about the Philadelphia fans, and when you play in Philly, you got to earn it. Right?
I did hear that part, and I thought that was awesome. That
so he gets it.
You don't just play here, like you survive here.
Yeah, you survive.
By the way, speaking of London, our friend UK Phillies is hanging up.
Yeah. Shout out to UK Phillies. That account was a great follow for years and years on the X platform.
Now I met UK Phillies and hung out with them in London. Let me tell you, my liver has lost a year from hanging out with UK Phillies.
There you go. He's a good time.
UK Phillies. His name's Dave, by the way. He can throw them back.
There you go.
Dave can throw down a couple of he can have a party night with Dave from UK Phillies. Oh,
couple of pops. Yeah, I thought the Utley thing was I thought it was awesome. I shed tears watching that because that guy was my first jersey of all time. I tried playing like him when I played baseball growing up. 26. Yeah, it was awesome. It was just awesome. They did it right. I think Howard will be the next guy that's retired.
And a lot of stuff in his speech, today's roster, I think there's a lot of guys that don't understand surviving Philly and earning respect here.
Yeah,
and did you notice?
I did hear
so many Phillies were just locked into that speech, watching from the dugout when they would pan to those guys. Bryce being one of them specifically.
It's funny that speech happened, and it's hard to not wonder if the Phillies players were inspired by hearing that, and it didn't seem like it.
No, Friday night.
No, they didn't play like it over the weekend, unfortunately. All right, moving along, nugget number 2. Want to kind of get to this quickly. Chase, he played a brand of baseball. It's a little old school, right? And we have the new school type of baseball. Some like it, some don't like it. And Harold Reynolds, I thought, made an interesting observation. He was on All the Smoke podcast with Matt Barnes, etc., and they were talking about analytics. And Harold Reynolds brought up an interesting conversation he had with the commissioner and the higher-ups of Major League Baseball back during the COVID era when they would all meet up. I want you to listen to his example of where baseball is at this point right now. Take a listen to Harold Reynolds on All the Smoke podcast.
And so one breakfast, I'm like, the game is broken. And I'm explaining, we're going into the analytics stuff. I said, I can go to Rucker Park right now, and some dude jumps up and tomahawks a dunk backwards and then goes down and shoots a 3. And I go, man, I can call Coach K. Hey, man, I saw this kid. I don't know who he is, but he was unbelievable. And he would say to me, Harold, I'll have him at my camp this summer. Thank you for calling. And then I can walk down the street and I see some dude drop back throwing a pass. He look like Tom Brady. I'm in there. I call up Nick Saban. He said, Harold, thank you for the tip. I'll have him at my camp. And I said, I can walk 2 blocks later and watch a 15-year-old switch hitter, a home run both sides of the plate and have a rocket arm. I can call any GM in the sport. And they go, did you get the exit velocity? Did you get the miles per hour on the throw? That's the difference.
So there you go. That is the difference of where baseball is at, how far gone everybody is in executive positions across Major League Baseball with analytics. What do you make of that example, Mike?
Well, I listened to what he says, and I agree with him. I think the game has gone way too far just relying on the analytics and just absolutely taking numbers and this kind of going off of them without any feel for anything. The problem will be Billy Beane went one way to do something, to try to close the gap that his team couldn't spend the money.
Yep.
And then even the big money teams followed him. The Dodgers are one of the biggest analytic teams in football. Until one of these teams says, we're going to go the opposite direction. You guys use your analytics. We're going to go this way. I don't know that you're ever going to change that.
And the reason I bring this clip up and I found it fascinating is because of the acquisition of Luis Arise. How the Phillies have integrated him being a contact hitter, the rest of the team kind of being boom or bust, home run or nothing, home run or strikeout, or maybe a walk. And, you add a Luis Arise in the middle of that lineup, and you've seen some times during the games, the bullpen's been kind of the big problem over the past couple of days, but you've seen him drive in runs over and over again, and the guy is just a contact, old school type of player who's really good, by the way. But those guys are kind of undervalued. I mean, he's been on 5 teams in how many years now?
And what gets scouts' attention nowadays? Is it the analytics stuff, or is it stuff that you watch with your own 2 eyes? I think nowadays, scouts, to impress scouts, you have to have good analytics and good launch angles and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think Arise, part of the reason I think he's been on multiple teams, maybe multiple reasons. Could be his defense. He has not been a great defensive player over the years. This year he's been much better, but he still ended up getting traded. Now that team was not very good, but there's a reason I think teams look at him and just say, we just don't have a position for him. We just don't know where he fits in on our team. So I think that's one of the reasons why he's been moved around a lot, but he doesn't hit for power. And in the world we live in today, in the game that we live in today, a guy, I talk about this a lot. When I was growing up in my era, in my time, now I hate
back
to
in
do
your
that,
day,
but like I'm not saying it because I think it's better, but when I'm asking the question is players that played in my growing up time, like Mark Grace, Wally Joyner, these were all guys that had high batting averages but low home runs. They hit like 330 or 320 or 310, but they would only hit like 8 to 12 home runs. And they played first base. Wally Joyner was a first baseman. Mark Grace was a first baseman. These were guys that had sweet swings, hit for high average, but didn't hit for a lot of power. I wonder if those guys would even fit into today's game.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. And you look at the way Luis Arise has bounced around. I think you're right about a little bit of the defense, but his bat has been so good for so many years. You think, okay, we could take a little hit on defense with how good him getting on base is, how his contact rate is, batting average, etc. And it just is not as valued as it once was. And I think that's part of the problem is we've gone so far to the one side of saying, hey, what's his exit velocity? What's his launch angle? Blah, 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 power, all this stuff, is that we're not even valuing those type of players anymore in baseball. And that's part of the reason the game's broken.
Is the data, though, competing with what's on the field? Or is it just the data being the data?
I think it's the loss of the eye test, Pete. I think it's the eye test. The eye test is not as valued. It's just looking at the numbers. It's the book, right? Going by the book. What do the numbers tell you? Not the eye test and no feel. The feel has been taken out completely.
Data, you get the data from on-field stuff.
Sure.
Right?
But the feel of the game, right? Like that guy could hit. He just makes contact every single time. I want that guy on my team in somewhere at the top of my lineup, right?
But the eye test is I've seen this guy hit and pitch, and I think he stinks. Is that the eye test now?
Well, it depends. You got a guy like Bryson Stott right now. His numbers have been better. He's starting to look like, because his numbers against lefties this year are actually better than they are against righties.
Yep.
He has reverse splits. But the eye test would say, I mean, the numbers would say he's hitting lefties. But I still feel like people look at him as not an everyday player.
Right.
Where Marsh, people want to see him hit every day, and now he's hitting against lefties more and more and more.
Yep.
And you see Marsh is not an everyday player.
Yep. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's a fascinating discussion because of how guys are valued in today's game. It's huge.
I'm not I feel like the analytics.
Yeah, I don't think it's ruined baseball.
Has it ruined it? No. I mean, the game's very popular right now in terms of attendance and all that stuff. But I just feel like there's too much information. Like, I don't like all the information in sports. Like, sports are competition. I'm better than you. That's what it's supposed to be. Not my information's better than your information.
Right.
We've lost track.
Lost the plot.
We've lost the plot of what sports were supposed to be. It's supposed to be competition between me and you. Mano y mano. Not your notebook and computer versus my notebook and computer. So, okay, you've now beaten me because maybe you had better research and better information and better this and that. But it's supposed to be a group of guys coming together trying to beat another group of guys. We've lost the plot on competition.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't make teams wrong for trying to strategize their roster.
The information's available.
Right.
So these teams are saying it's information. It's available. We're going to utilize it. I just feel like we've lost the plot. It's like the ABS system. I know we're running out of time. The ABS system. The other day, the guy taps his hat. The ball's called a strike. They change They change it. It was like not even a centimeter that the guy missed the call by. I don't need that call changed.
No,
I really don't. The ABS should switch a call that the guy misses by like 2 feet.
Yep, I agree. There you go. Nugs.
Coming up in the next hour, we've got Phillies Fastball at 5:30. Oscar's back with more Phillies thoughts over the weekend. What would he do to fix this team? We'll talk more about it coming up next to the Sports Pass live from Ocean Casino's Fanatic Sportsbook.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They've got him. It's a sack.
Sixers.
Oh, baby.
And Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Lineup just dropped moments ago, and the Phillies lineup, as always, on the Sports Bash is brought to you by our friends at Chachi's 13th floor at Rafici's. Now open. Text your name and where you're from to 609-403-0973, and you can win a $100 gift card if the Phillies score exactly 13 runs tonight. If they don't worry. You're still in the running for a $25 gift card on Friday's show. 609-403-0973. Text your name and where you're from. Here's the Phillies lineup today. It's a little different, and there's certain guys not in the lineup tonight. You ready, Pete?
I'm excited for this one.
Schwarber's playing first base, leading off.
Now, we saw that over the weekend, and he had tackled that one guy in a rundown. That was great.
Then he got replaced late in the game.
Replaced, yeah.
Bryson Stott is playing third base. He is batting second. Bryce Harper is the DH. He is hitting third. Luis Arise is at second base. He is hitting fourth. Brandon Marsh is now back in the 5-hole, playing left field. He is hitting fifth. Derek Hill is in right field. He is hitting sixth. Justin Crawford is in center field. He is hitting seventh. Edmundo Sosa is playing shortstop. He is batting eighth. And Garrett Stubbs is catching tonight, and he is batting ninth. So there is no Bohm, there is no Turner, and there is no Real Muto. Now, you think about this.
And there is 5 straight lefties, if my math.
Schwarber, Stott, Harper, Arise, Marsh. They are all left-handed. And then Stubbs at the back end, too. So actually throw him in there. So
right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 6 lefties in a row at one point there. There's a lot here. Why are Real Muto, Bohm, and Turner all out of the lineup on the same day? I mean, what do we just assume they're saying, hey, we need all of the right-handers just to take a day off because they have a stretch of games, Josh. When's the next time they face a lefty? On Wednesday? So the Phillies will see they have seen all right-handed pitchers. They're on a stretch of games here where they will not see a left-handed starter for some time now. I mean, I think the next time that they play a game that they see a left-handed pitcher might be this weekend. So I guess they just decided, hey, let's sit all of the right-handers on the same day. So Bohm, they kind of did what I said, right? A little bit. I said, why not just get rid of Bohm and don't play him anymore? Put Harper back at first base and play Hill in right field.
Right, Bohm and Hill could be the new platoon, so to speak.
I don't know that Bohm needs a platoon with anybody at this point. Seriously, he's not a great defensive player, and he's just not getting the job done offensively.
The next time the Phillies face a left-hander is on the schedule, at least, is Saturday against the Twins in Minnesota.
Okay, so I guess now yesterday, for instance, JT Realmuto hit fifth in the lineup. They had Bohm hitting eighth. They had Realmuto hitting fifth. And Stott obviously has been hitting in the number 2 hole. So now you took your 2, 5, and 8 hitters and took them out of the lineup. But I do find it kind of interesting that they put all those lefties back to back to back because now they're playing the Cardinals tonight, who are going to start a right-handed pitcher. So the pitcher is going to face 5 lefties to start the game off, and then Stubbs is the 6th lefty at the bottom of the lineup there. So it is a very interesting setup in the lineup here. Now, there's a couple other Phillies things that I think we should talk about.
We should all be thankful that we don't get to watch Alec Bohm on TV tonight.
Bohm's had a rough weekend, right?
He really has, man.
By the way, the pitcher tonight for the Cardinals, his name is Hunter Dobbins. This lineup is the antithesis, Mike, of what you would want from your analytics department, because analytics say that Dobbins is actually much better versus left-handed pitching than right-handed pitching. Versus lefties, he is allowing a 286 on base percentage against righties, 346.
All right. So he's a reverse split kind of guy. And the
Yeah.
Phillies decide on a guy who's a reverse split guy, let's stack 6 left-handers back to back to back to back to back to back to back.
Science.
So for whatever reason, that's the way it's going to go. So a couple things here. Let's get into this, guys.
Now, wait a second. Why wouldn't they? I guess this is just nitpicking, but wouldn't you just move Harper back to first base and have Schwarber DH instead of putting Schwarbs at first base? And
yeah, but I guess I'm wondering if they're saying now that Harper's playing right field that they want to give him more kind of a rest because now he's out there playing right field. So that's why I said before, for the hell with Bohm, I'll just play Harper at first place to play Hill in right field. What the hell do I need Bohm in my lineup for?
I mean,
right?
I'll have to wait till Mattingly talks, but Mattingly has talked in the past, and we've played it before, Mike, where he talks about wanting to get Harper off of his feet. He says that pretty often.
Harper, we should not expect Harper to play first base at all again this season.
I'm not so sure about that.
Well, wouldn't you play him at first base tonight?
No, because like Josh said, I think they want to get him off of his feet some days. But I wouldn't be surprised if further down the road here, if Bohm continues to struggle at the plate, if they just say, you know what, I think Hill gives us more. He makes us better defensively. Let's play Hill and De La Cruz in right field. And Harper goes back to first base.
And at least Hill is hitting.
Yeah, well, Hill's been hitting and De La Cruz has been whatever. But the problem with both of those guys is, are they going to hit against right-handed pitching? If they're playing, if Derek Hill's playing right-handed pitching every single day, see there you get into the worry of now overexposing him, and that's why I said you maybe rotate him and De La Cruz so they're not facing, right-handers for like 5 days in a row. Maybe Hill plays 2 days in a row, then De La Cruz plays a day, then Hill plays a day, then De La Cruz plays 2. Like you just keep rotating those two guys, so they're not getting overexposed every single day.
Sorry, I was going to say, so tomorrow is an example of a day you might want to play De La Cruz because De La Cruz in his career has a 400 batting average against Palante. So maybe
that's a thing where this is where the analytics might work a little bit here, right?
Right.
Where you say, hey, he's got good success against this particular pitcher. Now, you don't need analytics to see that. I'm sure they had those numbers back in the day as well. And, hey, he happens to hit 400 against this particular guy. So, yeah, I'm going to get him in the lineup. So I'm interested to see if the evolution of the Phillies lineup over the last – now, let's be honest here. Their lineup over the weekend wasn't their biggest problem. Their bullpen was their biggest problem. And today they made a move that is somewhat infuriating.
Somewhat?
So if you listen back in the 2 o'clock hour to the show, we had said my anticipation, me, Mike Gill, host of the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN, that I was going to say, if it were, I would out the 15 days, making it through the trade deadline, not being traded, that if the Phillies called up an arm today to replace Caleb Killian in the bullpen, Killian got placed on the injured list today. So he is now out with an oblique strain. And I would imagine he's out possibly till the end of the year, right? You get an oblique strain as a pitcher.
Very fair.
As a pitcher,
you might be done. To which I said, I would be pretty shocked if the corresponding move wasn't Alex McFarland takes his spot in the bullpen. Well, the Phillies said, blow it out your goat ass.
We got 2 words for you.
Yeah. Hey, windbag, shut it. And they went out and brought back Chase Sugar, who, listen, Chase Sugar seems like a great dude. He has come up here and given you some innings this year. But at what point, if you're the Phillies, and this is the way that I think you have to think, okay? There are times when you're playing a game and there's a kid that's struggling a little bit, but you've had practices and you know that person gives you your best chance to win. Even though over a very small sample size, maybe they haven't performed where you were hoping they would perform. But you've seen the practices and you know this person is very talented. So I'm going to stick with that person. At what point do the Phillies say, I know that Chase Sugar doesn't give me the best chance to win? Now, I don't know that Alex McFarland is a is a definitive yes. Maybe he's not as good as I think. Maybe he's not going to help this team win a World Series. But don't I already know that Chase Sugar ain't it? Don't I know that?
Yeah.
Don't I know that Chase Sugar is not the guy who's going to be the guy who can help me win a World Series?
So then why would they do this?
I don't know. Like Geoff Mosher said, did Alex McFarland kick Dave Dombrowski's dog?
Insult his wife. Kick his
Seriously.
dog.
Like, at what point do you say, hey, guys, we have an injury. This guy, Killian, we traded for him. We really thought he could help us out. Now he's hurt. Do I go to Chase Sugar, a guy that I know is a low-leverage guy who really isn't going to be a part of our postseason plans? Or do I take a shot on a young kid who has had a great season in AAA? You know what his numbers are in AAA right now? I mean, his ERA is in the 180s, 1.82. It's Chase Sugar between AA and AAA. He's at two levels, mostly AA. So this guy has consistently struck guys out, low ERA, low whip. It's like, at what point do you say this guy has done everything we've asked for him? We need a high leverage arm in our bullpen. We know Sugar isn't the answer. Why not try this guy? Now, if before you told me, well, listen, guys, that we were trying to trade him and we wanted his numbers to look really good so that teams would call and say, hey, you got this guy in AA. You know, his strikeout numbers look outstanding. We want that guy.
Which I'm sure teams did do that.
And they didn't trade him.
So
they didn't end up moving him. So now what's the hesitation? What's the hesitation now, Dave Dombrowski? Your bullpen stinks.
That's the eye test. You don't need
I don't need analytics to know that the Phillies bullpen stinks. It stinks by the eye test. It stinks by the analytics. This is one area where the analytics department and the eye test department could come together and kumbaya and say all of it all matches up. The eye test matches with the analytics. We all stink. So at that point, do you have to then say, hey, I got a guy who's been pretty darn good down here, and we got a guy hurt, instead of bringing Chase Sugar up, who, you know, probably not going to get the job done in a World Series playoff situation? Why don't I try something new?
Can I ask a crazy question? At what point, if you're John Middleton, do you have to walk in the Dave Dombrowski's office, close the door, and just say, what are we doing?
You know, I have asked that question many times. In my head, I wonder, how does John Middleton say, Dave, you keep calling the same guy up, Sugar? You know, remember when Ed
Wade?
No, Ed, the Flyers owner.
Oh, Ed Snyder.
Ed Snyder. You think I should remember. Thank you for the drink, sir.
Thank you.
I can't drink it right now, but guy bought us a drink. Yeah.
Good for you guys.
Yeah. What's in this drink?
What's in the drink?
Tito's and lemonade.
Tito's and lemonade.
Well, the drink's been sitting here for about an hour and a half now,
okay.
and we can't drink the drink on the air.
Naturally. You're
Tito's and
professionals.
lemonade. So anyway, what was I just saying?
You know about Ed Snyder.
Ed Snyder. You remember when Snyder famously said that Shane's got to be here?
Yep.
Remember that?
Got to spare.
At some point, he said, Shane's got to be here.
Got to be here. Yep.
That's where John Middleton has to step in and says, Alex McFarland needs to be here, right? I don't need to see Chase Sugar anymore, okay, Dave? So, like the Simpsons episode, send him back and keep spinning through the door.
Abe Simpson, yeah.
Right, Abe Simpson.
Grandpa.
Have him walk through the door and go right back and send him back on his way and call me up a new guy. And now listen, I'm not saying I'm vouching that McFarland is going to get the job done. What I am saying is I want to see someone new opportunity get the shot to try to help this bullpen.
I like,
because you're giving me a guy that I know can't get the job done.
I like the fact you brought up Ed Snyder, because to me, John Middleton has tried to portray himself kind of like an Ed Snyder. How many times have we heard John Middleton say, I'm a fan, I love the team my whole life, da-da-da. He's tried to present himself as like, I'm the fan who owns the team.
I want my trophy back.
Right. So like, if you're the fan who owns the team, I think most fans listening to us who could text in at 609-403-0973, they would walk in to Dombrowski's office and ask some questions, right? Like the fan in you has questions when the camera's not on for the almighty and powerful Dave Dombrowski, who loves to tell us what happened in 2006 with the Cardinals.
My first question I walk in and ask is one of two things. The first question is, okay, guys, your bullpen is in really bad shape right now. Do you really, in your heart of hearts, believe that Chase Sugar is going to help this bullpen
more than
anybody for one thing? But do you guys, in your heart of hearts, you just had a guy get hurt that you traded for. Now, you thought when you traded for this guy, you thought he was going to be a key part of your bullpen. You've now lost that guy. You're replacing him with a bleep bag. A bag of bleep is what you've now replaced him with. So you brought in a guy who you thought was a higher leverage guy and replaced him with a lump of coal. How does that add up? And he might say, well, we just don't think McFarland's ready. What more does that guy have to do?
Yeah, ready for what?
The guy has an ERA of I think it's 182. I don't remember his exact his exact
his exact ERA.
ERA.
Can we get Dave Dombrowski's email so we can ask him these questions?
Here you go. I'll give you his exact numbers right now. Over two stints, two levels this year. He's got a 183 ERA and a whip of 1.1. He has faced 160 batters. He has struck out 55 of them in 39 innings. So, with that, we would say this guy is a strikeout pitcher. He's a guy that can strike people out.
Throws 100 miles an hour.
And has thrown 100 miles an hour, so he can throw hard. He has thrown strikes. He is striking guys out. Now, again, I'm not guaranteeing, but wouldn't I rather see him than Chase Sugar if I'm the Phillies? And I said, at what point do you owe it to the rest of the team to say, guys, we just keep Abe Simpsoning Chase Sugar here? He just keeps running in the door and walking back. Hey, guys, I'm back to just get blasted again. Welcome back here, everybody. I mean, this is like Sideshow Bob.
and not to mention that, Alvarado, Kerkering, those guys stink too.
Alvarado, Kerkering, not very good. So what you knew, and that point I'm glad you brought up, because Alvarado and Kerkering right now are your higher leverage guys who are not performing. Sugar's not going into a higher level. Droll. Who has pitched in higher leverages so far this year? McFarland. McFarland has pitched in high leverage situations in the minors. Now, again, it's the minor leagues, but he does have 12 saves this season. So he is a guy that's actually pitched in higher leverage situations. So instead of saying, let's bring up Sugar, who is not going to pitch in higher leverage situations, you got Alvarado, who has struggled in higher leverage situations, and Kerkering, who has struggled in higher leverage situations. How about getting a guy that may actually be able to handle pitching in higher leverage situations? I don't know. Call me crazy. Call me nuts. But this is probably the way that I would go about it if I was Dave Dombrowski. And if I was John Middleton, I would say, Dave, send that guy back to Lehigh. Tell him to go get some bacon strips for his hat. And let's bring up another guy, because I've seen this guy too many times before. This is his third stint here. What did you not learn in his first two stints?
Now, there's still hope for McFarland to get called up here, right? I mean,
my luck, he'll get called up in the next 10 minutes, and it'll be Alan Rangel sent back.
Right. I mean, that's the other move that could happen is Rangel could get sent back this week, and you could get McFarland up here.
A couple things. Sports Bash Live 97.3 ESPN. The Phillies, Major League Baseball has announced the playoff dates. Did you see this, Josh?
I did, yes.
This is interesting because if the Phillies actually make the playoffs, which is not a given right now, those playoffs would start Tuesday, September 29th. It would not be Red October yet.
No,
it would be late September for the playoffs. Those dates would be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the National League wild card, and then the division series would start on Saturday, October the 3rd.
And the Phillies aren't guaranteed to get a home game.
Well, there's also
in that wild card.
I was going to say, so one of the bigger points as well is the dates in the past, Pete, they haven't always overlapped when the Phillies and Eagles play. Every once in a while they do. But this year, there's a couple of dates where if the Phillies and Eagles are, playing action like October 4th.
You already did that recon, huh, Henning?
October 4th is the big one. That would be an NLDS game where, hey, if the Phillies make it that far, which if they make it that far, right, they and the Eagles maybe play at the same time.
Possibly. Well, we don't know the times of those games yet, but
No.
what time do the Eagles play that day?
Eagles play at 1 p.m.
So it's a 1 o'clock game.
That's against the Rams.
I would think Phillies. I would think the Phillies game though would be a night game.
So maybe
Eagles,
like a
Rams
4
during
o'clock
the day. Phillies,
Dodgers.
Yeah, Phillies, Dodgers at nighttime.
Yeah, I think you would get an Eagle Ram 1 o'clock game. Of the Phillies playoff game, division series is on a Sunday. I could see that being like a 5 o'clock start.
Now
I think that's what it was last year. I think it was like a 4 or 5 o'clock start.
It was like 4:30, 5 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was because I remember I went over to Dewey Beach and I watched the game over there on Saturday, and that was a Saturday night game. And then I think the next day on game 2, they played like a Sunday afternoon game because I remember driving home on the way home watching the game in
Trying
the car
to YouTube
the whole
TV
way.
it.
YouTube TV'd it on the way home. Speaking of the schedule, the NBA is about to roll out their schedule. Here you go, Josh. Tomorrow, and Pete, tomorrow they will roll out the opening week games and Christmas Day. They will be announced on Good Morning America tomorrow morning. Now, I would imagine the Sixers are going to be part of the Christmas Day schedule. What are the odds on that? Minus 3,000?
I was thinking minus 5,000.
It's not even on the board here at Ocean.
No.
At Fanatic Sportsbook, they will not take your money, take your bets on that.
So opening week, the schedule for tomorrow will be opening week and Christmas Day. On Wednesday.
Now, the opponent on Christmas Day, you could take some action on.
Yeah, who do you think?
I would go Sixers Celtics.
No Knicks?
No Knicks.
No Lakers?
Now, that's interesting because they do the Disney on Ice West Coast trip during the Christmas New Year's holiday.
Yeah, the Sixers generally are on the road.
So maybe you could see a Sixers-Lakers Christmas night game, right?
I don't know.
I would go Sixers.
What is the high-profile time for a Christmas Day? Is it 2 o'clock? Is that like the big one?
It's always the Knicks at 12 or 12:30, right? That's like the
yeah, but is that the high-profile one?
I would think so.
What's like the best time slot that the NBA is the game that they value the most? I don't really know that because football has been on now and I haven't been paying attention. Like the Sixers played when they played the Celtics 2 years ago. Was that a noon game?
No, the Knicks always play at noon.
The Knicks almost always play like noon or 12:30.
So what the Sixers play at the 2:30 game or the 2 o'clock, whatever that is?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And then once you get later on in the day, you get the Denver game.
Well, that 10:30
Lakers.
game will be a West Coast game.
Right.
But you usually get that Lakers around 5. So could you get Sixers-Lakers at 5?
I could see that happening.
The 3 big games would be, well, you could do LeBron against the Cavs. You could do Sixers against the Lakers. I would think Sixers-Lakers, Sixers-Cavs, Sixers-Knicks, and Sixers-Celtics would be the 4.
So really quick, I pull up the numbers. So according to Sports Media Watch, the 12 o'clock slot averages between 5 and 6 million viewers per year over the last several years.
You wake up, you open up your presents, right?
The 2:30 slot averages around 6.7 million viewers. So it's about maybe 500,000 to 1 million more viewers.
Okay.
The 5 o'clock slot only averages around 4 million. The 8 p.m. slot is actually the highest slot. That averages almost 8 million viewers.
And who was that last year? Do you know?
Last year it was Lakers Warriors.
Okay, so I could see a Lakers-Sixers or a Sixers-Celtics in there. If you're saying the Knicks always get that noon slot, maybe they don't want to move the Knicks to the night game or an East Coast team to an 8 o'clock game, but maybe for this situation that they will.
So, for example, in 2024, the Knicks and Spurs, they played at the 12 o'clock slot.
The Knicks Spurs in the noon spot.
And then last year it was Cavs Knicks.
I'm sure you're
that
gonna
will
have,
be released tomorrow.
You're going to have Miami in there. So Miami's going to probably get maybe a home game.
That will be released tomorrow. Then on Wednesday, the NBA Cup schedule would be released, which I think I'd rather see Chase Sugar pitch than watch the release of the NBA Cup.
Now, we didn't mention opening night. Now, you would
opening week.
Sixers.
Yeah,
the Sixers would be the first game of the season. You would imagine.
It's either going to be them against the Knicks or them against the Celtics.
Yeah. I agree.
And then Thursday, the full schedule will be released at 3:00. Okay, there you go. All right, coming up, we're going to talk about the Phillies lineup decisions today, the decision in the bullpen with Oscar Budajin. It's today's Phillies fastball. Jeff's got the week off. He's taking some time off of the radio for right now, so we'll talk to Oscar coming up next for today's Phillies fastball here on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN. We have the perfect solution for sitting in traffic.
Come with me.
The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
The 5 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash is brought to you by Cross County Connection, providing fare-free transportation across southern New Jersey. For details, call 856-229-7571 or visit driveless.com. It's Phillies Fastball. It is brought to you by Ventnor Social, the place to catch every Phillies game. Tonight, the Phillies take on the Cardinals. A lot of interesting Phillies conversation to have right now. Oscar Budajian is here as the Phillies get ready for St. Louis. They've got an interesting lineup. They have a new arm up here. Oscar, let's start with that because the Phillies bullpen has been scrutinized. 5.35 ERA over the last 5 weeks. Only 3 teams in baseball have been worse since July the 5th. And obviously today they lost another arm, Caleb Killian. He will be out for a while. But a lot of people thought, hey, maybe Alex McFarland will get the shot. Let's see what a new, fresh arm looks like. Instead, they go right back to Chase Sugar here. Give us some background, some thoughts on why the Phillies maybe aren't ready for McFarland. Why Sugar here instead of McFarland? Oscar, in your opinion.
I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, Mike, I mean, I don't think there is a very clear explanation. Sugar has been okay. I mean, he's been filling in the back end of the bullpen. He's done an okay job. I mean, sometimes, he gives it more than runs than you want. This is a very it's a tax bullpen. You need innings. Now you lose Killian. The guy you brought supposedly to serve an important role. I wouldn't call a setup role, but an important role in this bullpen. You brought him from the Giants, and now you don't have him. And you go back to Sugar. I am puzzled that it's not McFarland. McFarland proven it in AA and AAA that he's ready for an opportunity. And look, I don't know what they're waiting for, to be honest with you. This guy could be somebody that can help this team, particularly with his staff. He's shown that he's capable of doing it. So I would give him the opportunity. If it would be me, I would do that. Sugar can pitch a couple innings. He's one of the few guys here, other than Alan Rangel, that was brought up a couple of days ago, that he can pitch multiple innings. But this bullpen is completely taxed, Mike. I am very, very worried. I'm hoping today is going to be a combination of Painter and Rangel. Hopefully our team hits. We've scored at least 4 runs in the last 11 games, so our hitting has not been the primary issue. I do believe that hitting in key spots, particularly in the series against the Blue Jays, we were completely exposed. But the main issue right now with the Phillies is the bullpen. The bullpen is where a lot of the games are escaping from us.
Yeah, and listen, you're obviously know what Chase Sugar can do. This isn't to say that he's this, that, or the other thing. If you think he stinks, great, he stinks. But he's not a high leverage guy. You don't know what McFarland can bring.
4.93 ERA. 2-1, 4.93 ERA.
And at this point, Oscar, though, here's what I would say is McFarland, I don't know what more that he can do at the minor league level. I know minor league you kind of take with a grain of salt, but at some point, you can't trust Alvarado. You can't trust Kerkering. So I might have to say, you know what? I know Sugar can't be a high leverage guy. Maybe this kid can help us.
Yeah, let the young guy come in and see what he's capable of doing. Look, if he's not capable of doing it, we send him back to the minors. It's better to do it now than to do it at the last minute in September, where a lot of the backups. It's very interesting, Mike. We're entering a very important time of the year. As you know, we spoke about this. The National League wildcard race is getting very, very hot. The Padres are hot. The D-backs are hot. You see the Marlins within striking distance. It's probably going to be a 3-team race or a 4-team race. At the most, the way I look at it right now, but anything is possible. And the Phillies are entering the most important part of the year. The next 4 weeks, you need to go in and deliver. You're playing the St. Louis of this world, the Minnesotas of this world. You are going to have to be able to have great weeks to be able to be effective. When you start looking, look, what do we have? St. Louis, Minnesota, Miami, St. Louis again, Seattle, and the Los Angeles Angels. After that, things are going to get very, very interesting, particularly toward the latter part of the year.
Right. So the news today, Caleb Killian, who, let's talk about this. They traded for this guy And I don't know that it was ever defined what they thought of him, but they traded for him, and I would imagine they thought that he was going to be an important part of their bullpen, and now he's hurt. I don't know. I don't know what you do in this situation. It looks like it's a pretty significant injury, too.
I mean, this is a six-week injury, so you're not, whatever you're going to have him, you're going to have him. There's 7 weeks left on the season. Right now, there's 7 weeks left on the season. If this guy comes at the end of the year, I'll be happy. I mean, those oblique injuries, they're very, very tough to get over.
Yeah, I did see Paul Sewald, the closer in Arizona, was DFA'd today. High ERA, Oscar, but very low whip. This is a weird situation. You got a high ERA and a low whip, so he doesn't put a lot of guys on base. He averages more than a strikeout per inning. I'd be pretty surprised if I'm the Phillies if I'm not kicking the tires there.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at that and Zach Little when they was let go. I mean, you need to get. I mean, you don't have enough depth, and that's the biggest issue with this team. I mean, look at the weekend. I mean, Kerkering yesterday. I mean, you had that game. I mean, put it on the bank. I mean, put it that game in the bank, and then Kerkering goes in and allows 2 runs and allows the game to be tied. I mean, this is the type of things that you get extremely frustrated. I mean, let's be very clear, Mike. You and I have been at this for many, many years. This has been a very frustrating season. The ups and downs of this team. Alec Bohm, I mean, that ground ball or men in first on second and third, we know out you got Crawford and Stott to get on base in second and third on Friday. And then Turner strikes out, Schwarber strikes out, Turner strikes out, and Harper strikes out. Come on, guys. I mean, you gotta bring that. I mean, those are the guys that make $30 million. They need to bring those runners in.
No question about it. And it's something that this team has struggled with a lot, hitting with runners in scoring position, productive outs, doing stuff like that. What you think of the lineup today? It is kind of interesting. They sat 3 right-handed hitters. Turner, Real Muto, and Bohm are all out of the lineup today. They've got 6 straight lefties if you wrap around to the 9-hole, with Stubbs batting 9th, and then the 5 guys at the top are all left-handed against a pitcher who has reverse splits. So this is kind of an interesting idea here.
You know what? I mean, with Mattingly, I don't know what to think, to be honest with you. I mean, it's like it constantly is evolving. I mean, look, what do I think of this lineup? I don't know. I mean, Schwarber, Stott, Harper, Arise, March. You're sitting down. Turner. You're seeing down Alec Bohm deserves to sit down for a week. I mean, you need to do something with Alec Bohm. Alec Bohm continues to be a detriment to this team. And I was looking at his stats. I mean, his stats, are awful. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Let me ask you this. I brought this up earlier in the show. I want to get your opinion, Oscar. Phillies fastball, of course. We're looking at all the fastest Phillies topics. I said at this point, if you move Bohm to the 8-hole, which is what they did yesterday, why not move Harper back to first base and just play Derek Hill and Brian De La Cruz in right field? And now you're better in right field, and you're probably better at first base.
I mean, you got De La Cruz, you got Crawford, Hill that has been extremely dependable, and you have March to play the outfield. I agree. And part of the reason they're putting now Schwarber at first base is because they don't want Harper moving back and forth. I do believe Harper is better on this team playing at first base, particularly because the fact you didn't bring enough ammunition. And Alec Bohm is playing so bad, I would not mind Harper at first base and then doing the rotation between the 4 guys. I mean, look, Hill, it cannot get any. I mean, Hill has been doing a really, really good job. Three walk-offs. The guy's delivering on key moments. I like what he has brought. The level of energy as well is really, really good. And look, and this team needs to start preparing themselves for a potential postseason. But you got to win a lot of key games right now. We're throwing games right and left with this bullpen. The way this bullpen is pitching.
Well, and that's the thing. You know, Derek Hill is giving them a spark. You wonder if you play him every single day, does that kind of lose that spark? But that's why I said use him and De La Cruz and let them kind of rotate out there, so they're both getting a lot of time. And you're better defensively with De La Cruz and Hill playing right field than you are with Harper, right?
100%. That's what I would do. To me, Alec Bohm, look at, his OPS here. He shows, April 395, May 826, In June, 669, 710 in July, and 645. I mean, this guy cannot be trusted. I mean, that's.
By the way, Derek Hill has reverse splits. He's hitting 262 against righties, only 223 against lefties. So, there's a possibility that he can play right field against right-handers, and then against left-handers, he moves over to center field and plays center field and De La Cruz. So, I don't know about you, Oscar. Do you think the Phillies have the audacity to pull the plug on Bohm?
I mean, the thing is, do you want to make it in the play? Do you want to make it to a playoff? Number one, and second, do you want to win the playoffs? He's been given every opportunity and he hasn't delivered. I mean, to me, he's better off right now coming out of the bench. I mean, in certain situations more than anything else. I mean, until he proves.
Worst case scenario gives another right-handed bat off the bench when you play all these lefties.
I mean, who do you want, Hill or Bohm? I mean, that's the decision you need to make right now. Hill every day of the week. I mean, it's a reality. And I do believe that when you put Hill out there, just like you put Mundito out there on a continuous basis, Sosa out there, you're going to expose them. And they're going to be easier outs. I mean, and that's a reality based on what they have in the back of the trading card. But look, right now, Bohm is not playable. I mean, the ground ball to our first base that the guy doesn't know where to throw. I mean,
that's right. But that's the thing is, that's the thing of just not having the intuition of playing first base. He just hasn't done it enough. And, his thing is, as a third baseman, the ground ball with the runner on first, I'm looking over to second. Well, at first base, that ball you didn't have the time to go to second because it was hit so softly.
I mean, the first thing you do, and you know this from playing baseball, is if the ball is hit to me, what am I going to do with this baseball? And he doesn't have a clue. I mean, he's just in a space. And I do understand that it's a newer base, even though he's played before. To me, it's a matter of clock. I don't think he has the clock fully tuned in terms of the reality of what's happening in the baseball game. And to me, that play right there and not making that out of first base is unacceptable. As simple as that. That's baseball 101.
Didn't help that Sugar didn't catch the ball either, but yeah. I agree with what you're saying. Andrew Painter tonight, a big start for him. He's pitched okay. His ERA over the last 2 starts for him is 2.70, 3 earned runs in 10 innings pitched. So just 10 innings in his last 2 starts, but 2.70 ERA. And I asked the question, I don't know if we talked about this Friday or not, but if the Phillies can find a role for him possibly in the bullpen when they get to the playoffs, if he continues to be consistent from now to the end of the season.
I think that the most important stat for me is his ability to swing and miss. Right now, with that fastball that he has, if he's not rising the fastball, he doesn't have the command of his fastball that he needs to be an effective guy coming out of the pen. I know his sweeper is good, his curve is really good, and it shows great movement. But if you don't have a fastball that you can command, you're going to be in trouble. And that, to me, is the most important thing with Andrew Painter from now till the end of the year, the command of that fastball and the ability to pass hitters with that fastball, which is what he was so highly regarded as a prospect. It was not because of his curveball or sweeper or anything like that. It was his fastball that the people were so excited about him, comparing to Verlander or maybe a potential Wheeler. He needs that fastball and needs it badly.
Well, one of the things about Alex McFarland, he's striking out a lot of guys at the AAA level, the AA level. I know that doesn't mean to translate here, but I'd rather see him and see if it does translate than seeing Chase Sugar. Now, maybe Rangel needs to pitch tonight in multiple innings, and then tomorrow they make that move. Yeah. We shall see. We'll talk
about that tomorrow. That's what I'm hoping, because I do believe McFarland has the stuff. If he's able to manage the situation, the moment to be in the majors, he has the staff to be in the majors right now.
Real quick, I know Friday you wanted to talk a little bit in depth about Alumni Weekend. What were some of your observations and just takeaways from seeing Alumni Weekend, and now that it's in the books, Oscar? As an alumni of this organization, for those of you who listen to Phillies Fastball, Oscar was one of the voices on the Spanish radio network for years. So he has been around the Phillies, worked with the Phillies organization. So you talked about it Friday, how big Alumni Weekend was to you.
Yeah, I mean, to me, seeing Chase Utley there and doing, by the way, I would never have imagined. I would have put a bet in terms how long he would have been his speech, and I would have said maybe 2-3 minutes, no more than that. I mean, the guy stood there 15 minutes. He made a wonderful speech. I like what Burrow did. I mean, I love what Chase did, how he was very respectful of everyone that helped him get there and how he spoke about our fans. I thought it was very, very classy of Chase. Also, what Jimmy Rollins did, both throughout the ceremony, as well as what he did later on, how he regarded and how, I mean, those two guys, I mean, Jimmy Rollins and Chase, I mean, that's the best two double play combination in the history of the Phillies by a long shot. I mean, by a long shot. I mean, those guys are very, very special. I love the weekend. I love what they did yesterday with the four guys throwing the first pitch. I mean, I thought that was very, very classy of the organization. I'm telling you, Mike, and I said it the other day, I don't know of any organization that does a better job during alumni weekend than the Phillies. It's not even close.
Yeah. By the way, Larry Boa looks like he's the one guy that can still get out there and play. And what's he, 80?
The guy's amazing, man. I mean, you see all the guys, I mean, with K's and all that, and Larry Boa goes out like that. Let's go. Where do we play? I mean, it's amazing. He keeps himself in shape. I've been in the cafeteria with him, and he's very, very, very judicious. So him and his wife always go to the games there, and really, really appreciative of Larry and what he represents for the Phillies.
Phillies Fastball, as always, right here on the Sports Bash. You got the lineup. We got the move today. We'll talk all about it tomorrow. Phillies and Cardinals tonight. One game up in the wild card over the Padres right now, so it's getting a little tight with less than 50 games to go. Oscar, we'll talk to you tomorrow, man.
Go Phils. Take it easy.
Phillies
Thanks,
Fastball, as always, brought to you by Ventnor Social, the place to go to catch every Phillies game. Check out their 20 big screen TVs for the game tonight. And don't forget, the Sports Bash will be live there in the month of September for one more show for a Phillies day game watch party. We are live today at the Fanatic Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. And when we come back, it is today's Do You Remember? Around it's next. It's the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
The 5 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash is brought to you by Cross County Connection, providing fare-free transportation across southern New Jersey. For details, call 856-229-7571 or visit driveless.com. All right, it's time for Do You Remember what happened on this day, August the 10th. Are you guys ready for today's Do You Remember? Ready for this one here, Josh?
Let's do it.
1981, Pete Rose breaks the National League hit record. Pete Rose singles off pitcher Mark Littell for his 3,631st career hit. He passes Stan Musial, become the all-time hits leader in the National League. The Veterans Stadium crowd gave him a nice standing ovation.
And the man. Yeah, Pete Rose.
Pete Rose breaks the
Pete
National
Rose, yeah.
League hit record
Yeah.
on this day, 1981. On this day, 1977, it was 3:23 in the morning when the Phillies finished the game against the Expos at Veterans Stadium. It stands as one of the latest finishes to a baseball game in franchise history. 3:23. Would you have left?
Thank God for the Ghost Runner, man.
Would you have left?
Oh, yeah. I would have turned it off, left.
I would have both turned it off and left.
Yes. And thank God for the Ghost Runner, because these extra inning games, I mean, come on, it's 2026 now. We don't need 5 hours.
We had a 12-inning game yesterday.
That's too long for me. We don't need 5-hour baseball games.
On this day, 2005, Terrell Owens does shirtless sit-ups as he lifts weights in his suburban New Jersey driveway as he answers questions from a massive media crowd. Do you remember?
Yes, sure do. Absolutely.
I mean, that was ridiculous.
He was in great shape, man.
The guy's in the freaking driveway lifting weights.
Yes, sir.
No, sir, we're not giving anything away good. You want a drink? Tito's lemonade. Tito's and lemonade.
He doesn't drink lemonade.
Damn it. All right, well, I'm on the radio right now. Live. I got to finish my show. One moment.
I mean, these people are just wild.
Well, it's live radio at a casino, man.
Got a jazzy. Last one. Do you remember on this day, 2012, Dwight Howard is traded from the Magic to the Lakers. It's a 14 deal. The Nuggets get Andre Iguodala. The Magic get Nikolai Vucevic. And the 76ers acquire Andrew Bynum. It happened on this day in 2012. And many people believe that that is the start of the process.
Ooh.
August 10th, 2012. That's our show, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We enjoy being back at Fanatic Sportsbook. We're back here next week. Nick Earnshaw will be hosting for me next week. PG will be here. Josh Henning back in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios.
That guy interrupted my train of thought. I had something to talk about T.O., and he just interrupted me.
He interrupted me, too. Yeah. I offered him a drink. Have a great night, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow.